Welcome to the David Bradley Show with your host, David Bradley.
All right, everybody. How's everybody doing? So what we're going to do is I got to tell y'all the story behind this, and it's very simple. A good friend of mine, Tim Thurber, hooked me up with this guy, and it was back when I first started doing podcasts, and he was gracious enough to say, hell, I love podcasts. And he came on, and we've been friends ever since. I think it's cool as hell. So everybody just sit back and say hi to Chris Turner because it's funny as hell. I love it.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. You know what? I'll tell you a lie in a heartbeat. So,
Man, it's crazy. I've been to your shows, and dude, I've seen you grow like crazy, especially the last year.
yeah, it's been a fun ride, man. It's like I tell everybody, it's like going to the gym and you work a muscle, and the more you work it, the stronger you get at it. And I'm really comfortable where I'm at right now as far as the identity as an artist, who I am, what I write, what I record. I know I'm really solid with my fan base, so I really know what to put out, and I just love doing what I do. My guys, man, you've seen my guys.
Oh yeah,
we just go out and we rock out and just try to make sure we do the best show we can.
Oh yeah, I mean, I loved it. Well, like the Paradise Show. Was it Paradise? No, what?
Mockingbird.
That's it.
Yeah.
Mockingbird, yeah. At the Mockingbird.
Here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Exactly. Down in Franklin. You can't miss it. It's a cute little venue. But just watching you on stage from the time we first met, and then watching you then at the Mockingbird, the show is just, and the way you grew as a performer and everything else, and the new songs.
Yeah, man, I'm really proud of this new record called For the Country. I mean, the whole EP, and I think out of all 6 songs, I wrote 4 of them. 2 of them I cut by outside writers, and I've still got 4 or 5 more that we're going to hopefully release before the end of the year, and we're going to release a whole record. So we'll take the EP and add 4 or 5 more songs to it, and it's going to be a whole record, and I hope to get it printed out on vinyl. So,
that'll be good.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
I don't know. How much is vinyl running now? Do you know?
Man, I think you can probably get a press on one album for about $15.
Yeah.
So then when you go to the store and you pay $40 for it, I mean, when you calculate in shipping cost and profit margins and everything else, but I think you can get one at cost with the sleeve and the wax and everything. I think it's like $15, something like that.
That ain't bad.
No, and there's a lot of people that's going back to it, man.
A lot. I was shocked.
It's funny how this new generation loves nostalgia, from Friends and the mom jeans, and I mean, even Lainey Wilson, God, I love her, but she's bringing bell bottoms back, and she looks great in a pair of bell bottoms. But
I've never been a bell bottoms fan, though.
She makes them look good, though.
She makes them look good, though. She does.
Her music, man, her music is just freaking soulful, solid, just good old Louisiana like country music that she grew up on, and you can hear it. And there's not a whole lot of authenticity out there anymore. And the fact that she's authentic to who she is, man, is I love her for it.
Well, I mean, you've got so many cookie cutters.
Oh yeah. But I mean, hats off to those guys, man, because they found a niche and they carved it. And the thing about that is they found an audience. And if that's what the people want to hear and they're making a living doing it, I'd love them for it. At least they're not in the trenches grinding anymore.
The only thing I hate, though, is like some of the record companies now, their development people and all that other stuff, they get in that one lane.
Yeah.
Okay, Lainey, boom, skyrocket, doing her thing. Now they want to try and get everybody else looking like Lainey. Well, you don't need to do that. This person needs to look like that person.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's like, I think that's a great thing about Cody Johnson. I mean, I don't know if I told this show in the last podcast or not, man, but Cody Johnson is probably one of the most humble, most down-to-earth human beings I've ever met.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a story real quick. So I got a call from the promoter of a show back in 2019, and he's a good friend of mine. He's like, hey, man, I got Cody Johnson at the country club in Augusta this weekend, and my direct support canceled. Do you want to come down? I was like, sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I was like, and this is right before he really blew up.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, what's the budget? He's like, ain't no budget, man. You're going to have to come play for merch sales. I was like, cool. You know, as you know, a lot of people don't realize this. Some of them do, but the music business, it's called a business for a reason. So I thought to myself, I'm like, it's the cost of doing business. I'll go.
Yeah.
And wing it. I told my guys, I was like, hey, here's what we're doing. I'm playing for merch sales tonight. Whatever we sell at merch, we'll split it equally across the board. Everybody will get a paycheck.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, man, let's go. So we get down there and Cody pulls in. We help load Cody in. They do sound check. Then we load in and we do sound check. We get done talking to Cody backstage. And we get ready to go on. We go out there and what I think, you know, we crush it.
Right.
Like, all right, man, we got them warm for you. I came off the stage and he was like, dude, you guys crushed it, man. Thanks for being here. I was like, thanks for having me.
Yeah, really.
And he goes out there and then I see his whole production, all the lights and all this stuff. I was like, man, I'm missing the boat. But then the show ended and I made about $1,000 on merch, man. We played for about 4,000 or 5,000 people. So it was a good night on merch. So all my guys got paid. Yeah. And we got done loading Cody out and we loaded out and Cody came up to me. He's like, hey man, did you get paid? I said, man, I came down here for merch sales. And he pulled out his wallet and he handed me 5 $100 bills. And he's like, nobody plays my stage for free, man. You guys did a great job and I appreciate you. And I will never, ever, ever, ever forget that.
Oh, hell no.
Because there's so many people that make it to that level and they you know, they don't think about the undercard.
Yeah.
Right? So for him to like take time out of his life and just acknowledge what we did, it was amazing. And he's the same exact guy off the stage as he is on the stage, and I'm thankful for that. But to go back to what you were originally talking about, he's the, you know, he blew up not only because his music's great and he's got a freaking killer voice, but there's a shift right now, as you can tell. You know, people, Yellowstone started it, the Cowboys, and all that stuff, and I'm glad to see it because I think country music's missing something like that.
Well, I think what actually set the Yellowstone thing off is when they had Lainey come on and perform.
Yeah.
And that helped
it for sure.
That put her in a whole different audience, you know, and a lot of people seen what she did on that show just being Lainey.
Yeah.
And that drew a lot of them back in.
And I mean, the star-studded cast. And I mean, Taylor Sheridan, he's a great writer.
Yeah.
And Kevin Costner on it. And I'm just in my circles, I've not announced this publicly, but my new song on my new EP, Cowboy Like That, it's actually on hold with the final season of Yellowstone this year.
Awesome.
So it's really cool to see that cowboys are not ashamed to be cowboys anymore. And the whole reason behind the song was like, you know what? They just don't make cowboys like that anymore. Because I grew up, man, slinging square bells, stretching barbed wire.
Yep.
And, you know, then I see, you know, I grew up on George Strait, Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, Mark Chestnut. I mean, 90s
all
country.
of them.
And then to see where it's shifted and turned, I'm like, man, where's the authentic country music at?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't fault anybody for doing it. Like I said, they carved a niche, but at the same time, it's like they forgot what actually built Nashville.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what was wild because we did CMA Fest and did 40-something interviews, and there was a lot of young talent. And I was pleasantly amazed. One guy actually reintroduced mouth harp on one of his songs.
What?
Yes.
Nice.
Several of them have already started putting the steel back in, the banjo back in. And I'm like, there's hope.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, it's there's I mean, you talk about like this, you know, going, I hate to keep harping on this, but off the new EP, there's a song I wrote with a good buddy of mine named Cooper Lane. It's called Keith, right? And it's a tribute to Keith Whitley.
Yeah.
But whenever I wrote that song with him, I told him when we went in the studio, because he did all the guitar work, all the mandolin work, I was like, we need to keep it as raw as possible because Keith came up through the bluegrass. He came up with Ralph Stanley.
Yeah.
I was like, so I want an upright bass, I want mandolin, I want guitar, fiddle, and maybe some cajon. And cajon player did a great job, but looking back on it, if there's one thing I could take out of it, I wish I could take the cajon out because it's not that it's bad. It's just whenever I listen to it, I'm like, man, did I really need it? And there's a lot of times whenever I'm in the middle of production and listening to music, I get overly creative.
Yeah.
Right? And I think with that song, if I would have added one more instrument to it, it just would have like not done it justice. But the way it turned out is amazing.
Yeah. Well, see, I used to love Andy Griffith.
Yeah.
When they had the bluegrass band on with the old man and boys and everything. And something about that old man playing that jug.
Was that was Tennessee Ernie Ford, right?
No, it was the Darlings.
Oh, okay. I know Tennessee Ernie Ford was on there.
He was on there,
Yeah.
but the old man, he had like 4 or 5 sons, and then he had one daughter, and the daughter sang, but it was all bluegrass.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the old man, he would sit there and play that old whiskey brown jug, you know, and just listening to him do that was just fantastic for me. I loved it, you know.
It's again, man. It's weird how nostalgia is like coming back into society now. It's insane. I mean, I love it, and you'll never forget where you came from.
Yeah, that's true. You ain't got to worry about it.
Yeah, it's like I can't remember what it was the other day. My daughter looked at me and said, "Do you know this song?" I was like, "Girl, I was rocking that song before you was even a song."
Actually, I think you was conceived during this song.
Exactly.
But see, that's what we used to do. We would, you know, Dad would take me out on the farm because he had a lot of friends that had farms and stuff. Tossing in bales and hanging tobacco and running barbed wire, and hell, we was on horseback running cattle. You know, and when we got done Sunday afternoon, you could get on your dirt bike and go raise hell if you wanted to. You know, go run the creek or do whatever you wanted. And I loved all that stuff. But when I was back home, when we got to that age where we were all driving, it was 4-wheel drives. It was off-roading. It was bonfires, drinking. You know, it was just crazy. Simple. It was a simple life. I loved the hell out of it. And whenever we was doing the bonfires, 9 times out of 10, it was nothing but Hank Williams Jr.
Oh yeah,
Because during that era, I mean, what, 5, 6 voted #1 show to see, and all these awards and everything else he was winning. It was just crazy.
as long as he was sober enough to perform.
Yeah.
He's like the 1990s version of George Jones.
Yeah. Well, you know, at least he showed up.
Yeah, exactly. At least he showed up. But yeah, man, I can remember, I tell everybody, I'm like, I'm from a town with 2 red lights, a Hardee's, a Piggly Wiggly. We had Friday night football and a back road to party on.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. And, I'll never forget it. I was slinging square bells. And the big thing about 96 is we got this thing called Star Fort, which was a Revolutionary War battlefield. Mm-hmm. And they've got this field called Star Fort Pond. And a buddy of mine, his dad had leased that land to cut the hay off of it.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it, man. I think I was, 10, 12 years old, out there slinging square bells.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget whenever Goodbye Says It All by Black Hawk came on. We put that damn song on repeat for so long. It's like, goodbye says it all. It's like, oh, wow. Yeah, that's the way I feel about the hayfield. Goodbye says it all.
Oh, yeah. We out of here.
I've been slinging bells from daylight to dusk, man. It's time to put a...
Well, that's one reason there was one song that Jason Aldean did, and it was, shit, I can't remember. We're going to ride this Chevy all night long.
Oh, yeah, take a little
But
ride.
he's talking about, working all day, doing hay bales and all that stuff. And at the nighttime,
yeah,
that's when it was your time. You could go do what you wanted to do.
Oh, without a doubt. And whether it's bonfires or drinking on a back road or telling Mama, hey, I'm staying at Brad's, and Brad saying, hey, Mama, I'm staying at Chris's, and then we just go get lost and pick up 2 chicks and drive to Augusta, Georgia all night. We did that too. So, yeah, it was crazy. It was a different time. But the bad thing is now, man, you can't really even leave your kids outside anymore, and it's a bad state that we're in now because they might get yanked up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, during that time when I was young, when skateboarding, we were riding.
You was a skater boy?
Yeah, a little bit.
What?
But we took boards and built our own. We take a regular pair of roller skates and take the front and rear wheels off, make the board and everything, and then we put the wheels on it.
So you took the trucks and the wheels off the skates and put them on like a regular like 2x6.
Yeah.
Dude, I got to tell you, that's the most redneck thing I've ever heard, but I love it. I'm going to try it.
It worked. It worked. You know, and
you need to do a DIY page on that.
We had a lot of fun.
Redneck Skater Boy.
Yeah. You know, and where I lived at was at the top of a hill, and we had there was 2 roads come in to one road. So there was a big area right there at the top of the hill.
Right.
That's where we all hung out during the week, you know, and we'd have our homemade skateboards and hanging out and skating and, you know, car.
Oh, yeah.
All clear, you know, and just did what we had to do.
So until we were old enough to drive to go out in the country and like actually hit back roads and have bonfires to the wee hours of the morning and sing Seven Bridges Road a cappella.
Oh, yeah.
There's a story too.
Yeah.
But we had this, I grew up in a mill town, so it was full of cotton mills. So we had this thing called a mill village, and it was all a bunch of like block houses to where when the mill owners moved to 96, they built these houses for the workers. So they would let the workers live there for free as long as they come to work, and they still give them a check, but you know, it probably wasn't as much as they'd like. They'd take care of the house, the utilities, and all that stuff. So at the mill village, in the bottoms, we had a bottom right there, which is now the park that I actually headlined a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we'd sit out there and we'd play football, we'd play baseball, and it wasn't 2-hand touch, and it wasn't modified kickoffs. I mean, we went wide open with no pads.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
And it was so much fun. And I mean, now, you just don't see kids playing outside anymore.
No.
But to back up to my Seven Bridges Road story, this is so ironic. So whenever I was a teenager, we'd hang out on this back road called Paysinger Dirt Road. And it's a long red clay dirt road, and we'd find the bottom right there, and we would get out there about 11 o'clock after football games on a Friday night, and we'd build a bonfire out of like rubber tires or pallets or any kind of wood we could find, and we would sit out there and we'd drink beer till the sun came up. But while we did that, we would sing Seven Bridges Road a cappella over and over with about 15-part harmonies.
Wow.
But the ironic thing is when I moved to Nashville, I was at a horse barn, believe it or not, right outside of Hendersonville. And it's an equestrian barn where they do English riding, and they do some Western saddle. And I'm sitting there talking to one of the guys, and I was telling him, he's like, so what do you do? I was like, man, I'm a starving artist and a starving songwriter in Nashville, just about like everybody else here. And he's like, really? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm somewhat in music. I was like, cool, what you got? He's like, well, have you ever heard Seven Bridges Road? I was like, dude, that was a song of my childhood. He's like, well, my daddy wrote that song. Yeah. And I'm sitting there talking to him, and I went and listened to his daddy's cut of it. His name's Steve Young. Well, my buddy's name's Jubal Young. Believe it or not, Jubal Lee Young is his name. His daddy's name's Steve Young, and he was telling me about his project that he cut it on, and I went back and listened to it, and it sounds nothing like the Eagles did it. But if you realize the only Eagles cut of that song is the live version. You can't find it on a record anywhere.
No, you can't
at all. And you know, he was just telling me that. I was like, man, it's just weird how when you move here, so much that impacted your life as a teenager or young 20s or whatever, these guys are here, and then you start meeting them, and it's like, dude, I remember where I was at when you wrote that song. Well, whenever the song that you wrote played for the first time and I heard it. Yeah. It's such a crazy town. Like Al Dean put it simply, it truly is a crazy town.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy as all get out, because my daughter, you know, she was in the goth scene and hung out with a bunch of goth kids. And well, one of the very best friends that she had out of all of it was Katie. And her daddy wrote a song about her, Katie Bell Blue.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And had no clue.
That's the thing about being a songwriter, man. It's like you pick up everything. I was somewhere the other day, man, and somebody said, you know what, I think Jesus is a hippie. I was like, I'll take that. And I put it down in my notes. I was like, you know what? Jesus is a hippie, but Jesus is going to be a hippie in a song in the near future.
Oh, yeah. And he ain't happy either. No.
Because I mean, if you think about it, he created the world, he created the earth, and all the natural aspects about it. I'm like, yeah, Jesus was a hippie, and I'm fixing to write about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, the robes give it away.
Yeah, exactly. the robe and the Jesus sandals, which I don't think they had sandals back then, but
I don't know. They might have. There's no telling.
yeah.
Because I get into some of that history stuff, and I'm looking at different things, and hell, they found a damn cave with actual drawings all over the cave, like 20,000 years before when they said mankind was here.
Hieroglyphics, is that what it's called? Is that hieroglyphics?
I don't know what they call it now, but
That's something crazy.
everything changes.
But the fact that whether it was a Neanderthal or a human or whatever, they found time to like carve it and figured out exactly what they were doing. It really makes you wonder, man. You know, some people think the world's 6,000 years old, but then you find 25 million year old dinosaur fossils.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean,
I couldn't live in that time.
I'm not trying to even like wrap my head around it. I mean,
I'd be like an hors d'oeuvre or some shit. You know?
I'm telling you, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. You know, to try to figure out the timeline and what all happened. I just sit back, live by faith, not by sight, and just keep rolling. Whatever happens, happens.
That's all you got to do.
That's it, man.
That's what, well, you know, that's one reason why I moved to Portland, because I was born and raised in Nashville.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I've known you for years. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Right there off Trinity Lane, Jones Avenue, right off in that area. Yeah, I know. There was some tough little some bitches back in, though. I
can see why.
You can only
off Trinity Lane, man. That's like the OGs right there.
You know, you get your butt kicked so many times, you're gonna learn how to fight real quick. But
only other place I'd say is like if you was on the south side of town in the deep parts of Antioch. You'd be like, hey.
Yeah, from Jelly's territory.
Yeah, Jelly's territory. So he's living, man.
But I got tired. Even back then, it got to where you could not see the stars. And
really?
I used to always love, when I was little, laying out in the backyard and just looking at the stars. But the bigger Nashville started growing, you know.
Skyline took over.
The skyline took over, and you couldn't see the stars. So as soon as I could, I moved out. And me and the first marriage, God, that sounds bad every time I say it. But anyway, our first house that I built was up in Springfield.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Springfield's nice.
And I could lay out in the backyard and see the stars.
Oh, wow.
Even when the kids were little, you know, they'd be out there in the backyard with me, and I'd be like, look, Big Dipper, you know, and all this other stuff. I just got a kick out of it.
And there's something to be said about simplicity too, man. Because I was back home last weekend. I went down there. We had a celebration of life for an aunt who passed away.
Hate to hear that.
My mom and my dad, they still live on the same farm I grew up on. And I can walk out on the back porch at 2:00 in the morning and not hear a soul but crickets, and look at the stars and see the cows out in the field.
Yeah.
And that's that, and you know, watching a 2-lane tractor go. I mean, I'm sorry, watching a tractor go down a 2-lane road and get stuck behind it. You know, being up here, even especially in the music business, or just being here as in the industry whatsoever, Nashville is 100 miles an hour all the time.
Oh yeah.
And whenever I go back home, I'm like, I can do 45 and nobody's going to honk the horn, man.
Yeah, nobody cares.
I can slow down for a minute. So I think that's probably the biggest thing I miss about going back home is just the simplicity of it and the small-mindedness of it. Nothing against them for being that way, but it's where I came from, and I miss that from time to time.
Yeah.
But Nashville's got my soul, man. It's got my heart and my soul, and it's...
She's a wicked lady. Yeah. You have to watch out.
It's funny you say that. I was like, you know, I tell so many people, Nashville, she's a beautiful woman, man. But just like a woman, you piss her off, she'll spank you on the ass.
Exactly. I tell you what, though, I took, oh, God, this was last weekend. I'd forgotten all about this until we was talking about it. I opened the door. It's like 11 o'clock at night. And I went outside to smoke a cigarette. And there was a frog on the walkway out there just in front of the steps where you step down. Mm-hmm. And it was just sitting there.
Just hanging out.
Just hanging out.
Rent free.
And I sat on the steps and smoked a cigarette watching that frog do absolutely freaking nothing. And I loved every damn minute of it.
So if you'd have been 14, 15 years old, you'd stuck that cigarette in the frog's mouth because I
Probably. Up his ass or something.
Let's see if we can't make him burn one.
Jump, mother. But yeah, dude, it's crazy how a lot of things. Yeah, I told somebody the other day, I said, I've been in this town ever since I was raised. And then to watch how it is transformed so many times and what it looks like down there now.
Oh, it's a monster, man.
It's a country Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a cross between Las Vegas and L.A.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's so many Californians moving over here. And I get it. They're moving here, a lot of them moving for the music business and entertainment industry because it's becoming a huge entertainment mecca.
I had a guy on the other day, actually yesterday, me and him was talking, and I've noticed a surge in the indie movie industry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he is actually out in L.A. And he was telling me the reason a bunch of his friends and everything is because Nashville,
taxes are cheaper.
You can make a movie and not pay $5 million to make that movie.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need nowhere near the budget, and he even said something about he thought about moving out here. So
yeah, but I mean, even if you got a $5 million budget in LA and you come to Nashville and they cuts it into 2.5, any producer or director that I would know or anything like that, they'll still find a way to use the whole $5 million, but they'll get more. They'll get more bang for their buck. It's like inflation.
I don't need
it's
that.
like inflation, right?
I don't need that. I need give me $50,000. I'll do a movie.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I got 3 cameras. I got microphones. What else you need?
Yeah. You know what? Let's go find $500,000. We'll launch your podcast and we'll launch my independent record label.
There you go.
And yeah.
And then we can get a warehouse, and you can have half the warehouse, and
That's
I'll
right.
We'll do it all.
Which, I mean, I'm part of Label 22 now, so I mean, it's a bunch of veterans, and we're just trying to make a statement. It's kind of like the music mafia movement back in the early 2000s.
Right.
It's like, hey, you know what? We're a bunch of veterans, and we're writing great songs and playing killer music. Hey, here we are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been really cool. It's been a cool experience, and I'm tickled about it. So I get it. If we had like $500,000, we'd be off to the races. But unfortunately, social media ruined that for real music. And like I said, it's not about anybody else, but the thing is like, why would any A&R executive from any of the big three go out looking for talent in Nashville when they've got the world at the palm of their hands?
You don't have to anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I told somebody else the other day, if you think a record exec is going to walk up in this bar, you lost your damn mind.
Yeah.
He can sit at home, drink a bourbon, have a hot meal.
Like, man, he's saying he stopped loving her today, note for note. I need to sign him.
Yeah. Just pull out a laptop. It's right there. Everything's right there.
Exactly.
And that's what kills me about TikTok, how much some of these, they're artists, and they're blowing the hell up on TikTok, singing somebody else's song.
Well, is that an artist or is that a cover artist? There's a difference.
It makes you wonder.
Yeah.
But you got a lot of them that are blowing up.
Yeah.
And making bank.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of times, man, they'll sing that cover song and then they'll get signed, or even if they've got that one song that sticks on TikTok, it's like, okay, what else? What else can you do for me?
Yeah.
And then when the next one doesn't happen, it's like, okay, well, here we go. Happy dust collecting.
I want to see them live on stage.
Oh yeah,
because
that's where it's at.
Well, a lot of people don't understand though.
Yeah.
When you're on stage, you got to make sure you got your breathing technique down. You got to have the stamina. You got to understand drawing your audience in and doing a really good show for them. You're wore out.
Oh yeah, when you come off that stage after 90 minutes or 3 hours or 4 hours or whatever, man, it's all you can do just to like stop and collect yourself. Because it's not just about being on stage and doing that from the workout.
Yeah.
But it's a huge adrenaline dump.
Oh yeah.
Because you're so full of adrenaline. When you walk off, it's just like, and then you collect yourself. It's like, man, I need a glass of bourbon.
Yeah. Well,
But you're
it
just
was
100 miles an hour the whole time you're up there.
well. That was what was wild because I was in the production part of it. You know, I was
Right.
doing the sound and the lights, and
So you know where I'm coming from, yeah.
I got real big thrills. That whole adrenaline rush when I was coinciding the lights with the artist that was on stage with a particular song he was doing, and being able to paint all those beautiful colors and everything else behind him while he's doing that song, to hear a crowd
Go crazy.
go from a low roar to all of a sudden a big roar just because you helped that artist.
Gave him a light wash.
You
yeah.
gave him everything he needed.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, I've done it so many times, and it was that adrenaline rush.
Oh, yeah.
I loved the hell out of it.
And it's nothing like, I've got this really cult-like following with this song that I wrote back in 2012 called Waffle House.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'll hit some areas of the country, man, and I'll sit there and they're like, you going to play Waffle House? You going to play Waffle House? I'm like, yeah, I'll play it. And then to get up there and do it, I mean, this is like pre-show, but to get up there and do it and perform it live and then look at everybody singing the words back to me and the band stops. I mean, I get it now because I've heard that so many times, but
Yeah.
the fact that you touch somebody that much to where they know the lyrics to your songs is...
And Waffle House is a damn good
Insane.
song. It's catchy as hell.
Yeah, it is. It's an earworm, man. That's why we always close with it.
Yeah.
But I might have to change it up, next year to where it's like, okay, why don't we open with it? And then we close with like For the Country or Cowboy like that, or I don't know, something.
I tell you
just
what,
kind of change it up.
I was highly, highly happy you released Cowboy like that.
Yeah, it's been sitting in the tank, man, for about 3 years.
I know.
I was tickled about it, yeah.
I loved the hell out of it.
I was waiting on the right time to do it, and then whenever I started talking to Cochran at Label 22, he was like, we're not just going to do a single, we need to do a whole EP. I was like, but I think it might be too soon because it's the summer. He's like, man, we can put it on the EP, and then we can highlight it on the album whenever we come out with an album in the fall. I was like, so now we're doing an album.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I like it. So, yeah, it's a great song, and it's very heartfelt. Me and my buddy Jamie Adamson wrote it, and I'm really excited about what it can do. But
Oh, yeah.
it just hopefully the people grab onto it, whether it's social media or radio or whatever, and we can just launch it and be like, "Hey, I did that! Yay!"
Exactly. Well, see, I think there's and this is something that I was thinking about the other day. Lainey and oh God, what's her name?
Elena,
No,
Elena,
no, I can't remember her
Miranda?
name. Anyway,
Miranda Lambert.
yeah, it was Miranda,
Yeah.
Lainey and Miranda. That song that they just released
Oh, okay, yeah.
with the horses. Mm-hmm. I can't remember the name of the song.
I've not heard it yet. I've heard about it, but I've not.
It's a
listened
good
to
song. It really is.
it. Yeah.
I think if you could watch what other artists put out, and you release something that's kind of like a follow up,
Yeah.
that would like make it explode even more.
Catapult, yeah. And I mean, even with Cowboy like that, I've been trying to get to Trace Atkins camp for years because, if you've heard the song and if you hear the vocals and the vocal delivery that I do, and if you brought him in on the back half of it, I think it will be a powerhouse of a song.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, make no mistake, we wrote it and just pat myself on the back. I think I delivered the hell out of it. But
You did.
yeah,
You really did.
But, it's just having, again, with social media and all this other stuff, people need influencers. So if there's one influencer that I think that should be on it, it would probably be Trace Atkins. Because
Yeah.
I think with that deep baritone, growly, gritty, like he sounds like he swallowed the whole Sahara Desert, and delivering it. Yeah, I think it'd be awesome. But so, hey, Trace, if you're out there, call me.
Oh,
But yeah, man, it's.
I wish we had his phone number. We call him.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Nah.
And oddly enough, man, I spoke to some people in his camp, but that's about as far as it got.
Yeah, I'm not privy.
I'm not really privy either because he didn't cut the song or cut it with me.
That would have been awesome, though. I'd have been there videotaping that.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been good.
Yeah, it's so yeah, I mean the whole record is great. I mean it's I'm very proud of it. It's the best stuff I've got to date, and I can't wait to get out there, the rest of the year and next year to really push it. And the biggest thing is like the fans have validated me, so I'm just trying to find a way to see if I can't get the industry to do the same thing. And I don't need a draw of $2 million and the bus and all that stuff, man. You know what? I just need you to show me some love. I can take care of myself. Just show me some love and let me get in front of more people.
Yeah, and I'll drive the bus. I don't care.
That's right. I just want to play shows and do what I do, man, because I love performing and I love being in front of people. And whenever I can't be in front of people as much as I want to be, it gets to your psyche, man. It
really does.
It makes you, when you slow down, especially being a Marine Corps veteran and the stuff that I've experienced in my life, whenever I slow down, that's when the demons come out. And when the demons start coming out, then I got problems.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of really, really good, I don't want to call it charities, but a lot of really good services for veterans now.
Nonprofits. Yeah.
That I really like.
Yeah.
I actually had her on the show. It was an actress, and she's actually come up with a program to help train veterans on doing drones.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Teaching them how to use them. And when they get done with the class and everything, they actually get a drone given to them. And then they can take that drone and go out and they can find work. I mean, roofers now are using drones. Used to be the guy climbing up on the stage, up on the roof and looking around, Now they're using drones. They're using drones on all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess it saves lives, man. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But I'm still of the mindset of like, just because I roofed houses for a while too, of climbing up a ladder and on a roof. And just using a freaking tape measure to get the measurements off of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I did it with my papaw for years.
Yeah.
And I just had my roof on my house about 2 months ago. Looked at it. He's like, "Oh, we're just gonna fly a drone over it." I'm like, "Is that pretty accurate?" He's like, "Oh yeah, man. We can dial into the millimeter of the square footage." I'm like, "Well, you might have to call bullshit on that one." But
well, it's weird. There's a damn measuring thing on your iPhone. Mm-hmm. And you just point and scroll, and it gives you everything right there.
It's all about going back to dumbing it down for American people to where they can't figure shit out anymore.
Well, it's like I've said 1,000 times. Not just
Americans, just the human population in general.
Well, it's like I said, that's what I've said a lot. Mm-hmm. And Simon and Garfunkel said it best when they wrote that song, "Sound of Silence."
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah,
because they, bow your head to the neon god you made. It's right there. I can't say nothing though, because a lot of people watch YouTube on the damn thing.
Yeah. That's just it, man. When something goes sideways, I'm like, okay, if I can't YouTube it and DIY it myself, then I'll call a mechanic, or then I'll call a appliance engineer, whatever it is, whatever I'm working on. But I cannot tell you how many times I fixed my own washing machine. Yeah. Which, I mean, I grew up working on vehicles anyway under a shade tree. I was a shade tree mechanic.
I know. You wouldn't even let me come down there for moral support. You had it. You had it.
And then, I'll just sit there and I know what I'm doing, but if there's something like, if I got to replace a fuel pump or something like that, I'm like, I know it's on the inside rail, but what else goes along with it?
Yeah.
If I can figure it out, great. If not, I'm not so ignorant to where I won't take it to somebody who gets paid to do what I'm supposed not to be doing.
Yeah.
But then a lot of times they're like, man, you jacked this up too much. You're going to have to take it home and figure it out.
Mm-hmm. You got to do something. I had a 79 GMC truck.
Square body.
Old square body.
Nice.
And had 35s on it. Had 4-inch lift. And whenever you ran it, for some reason, it would just shut off.
Really?
Took me 2 weekends to figure it out.
What was it?
The freaking fuel pump come loose. So it would vibrate as you drove it. Mm-hmm. And when it got to a certain point, it would just lock up and shut off.
Well, maybe I need to check that on my 89 Bronco. It's a bullnose. And I just replaced the fuel pump on it.
Yeah.
And it was running fine. And all of a sudden it just started like it was choking out. So
Yeah.
maybe I need to go back and check the lines on it because I've been like at wit's end. I'm like, I've done changed the plugs. I've changed the plug wires, distributor cap, distributor rotor. I did the ignition control module. I changed the fuel filter. And the last thing I did was put a fuel pump on it. And I'm like, why won't it run? And it sputters.
Yeah.
And once it levels out, it's fine. Then whenever you try to accelerate, it sputters again until it gets to speed and then it takes off.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, check it because it took me a 12-pack on a late Saturday night. And I had the light up in there looking around and looking at things. And I done rebuilt the carburetor twice.
Oh, mine's fuel injected. I think mine's first year came out fuel injected. I call it my OJ Bronco.
Yeah. But it was a 454 and had a turbo 400 transmission, put a shift kit in it. And it just blew my mind. I was half drunk and I looked down and I seen that first bolt up at the front of the motor was out about a quarter of an inch. And I was like, son of a bitch.
Past 2 weeks, I've been sweating it, and damn it was all about a little small bolt.
Yeah, so I took both bolts out, coated them in bolt lock, the good blue stuff.
Yeah.
And I put them in there and I tightened them down, and it never had that problem ever again.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy.
So for all you viewers out there, man, if they don't learn how to fix a car, just go on David Bradley Podcast.
Yeah, welcome to David's car shop.
David and Chris's car tips for dummies.
Yeah. Except I'm the biggest dummy because I couldn't figure it out. It was crazy, dude.
Well, that's before they had YouTube, too. You just had to figure it out.
You didn't. You just had to get out there and, I've sat and watched my daddy figure stuff out, and it's just like.
Yeah.
You don't understand how he done it, but he done it.
And there's a lot of in between, but just to make a car motor run, you need air, fuel, and spark. Those are the 3 requirements.
Yep.
And then if you're not getting any gas to create spark, it's like, well, why am I bottoming out? Mm-hmm. And then the air filter and all that stuff. It goes on and on forever. So
yeah, I seen a thing on Facebook where somebody posted a picture of a set of points. And they was wanting you to tag yourself or tag a friend that knew how to actually install it, set the points, and all that stuff. People don't know how to do it anymore.
With a fillet gauge?
Yeah, nobody knows how to do it anymore.
You got to be kidding me, man. We are
old.
No, I ain't gonna say it's old. I just think we are. I'm gonna say, the country as a whole, we are in for a shit show in the next 15 years, man. If you can't replace a damn set of spark plugs.
Well, 15 years from now, it'll all be batteries anyway. So,
what, like
all the cars, nothing but batteries.
Oh, you mean like electric cars?
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, man, but you know what? There's only so much of a lithium supply in the country. Well, not just the country, just the world as a whole.
Yeah.
So if you try to replace all combustion engines with electric cars, and what are you going to do when the lithium runs out? Because there's.
What are you going to do when the damn batteries start blowing up?
Yeah, well, that too. Or what do you? It's gonna be a generator salesman's like best case scenario. It's like, hey, turn them into damn electric cars. I'll sell more generators.
Yeah,
that are gas powered.
I had a buddy of mine. He called me and he said, "Hey, did you hear about that Tesla dealership out towards California?" I said, "No, what?" He said they left for the weekend. They come back on Monday morning. And 40 some odd cars had burnt to the ground.
Wow.
And every damn one of them was battery. And they were brand new. Never driven except, there at the dealership.
Yeah. I've rode in a Tesla, man, as an Uber passenger. And I got to tell you, it was a cool experience. But at the same time, it wasn't because it was an electric car that I was impressed. I'm like, I love that big screen they got, and they got the moon roof up there. I was like, they just need to make combustible engine cars just like this, but just make sure I can put gas in it.
Well, as a young man back in the day, I really wish they had Teslas because they were self-driving. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could have got in all kinds of trouble.
Oh, and I mean, man, you know what? Working at the local Piggly Wiggly for $10 an hour or whatever it was, instead of having to work for gas money, just go home and stick in a freaking outlet and plug it and charge it. And you ain't got to worry about paying for gas.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to people who own Teslas. There's like, well, you know what? Because you don't have to pay for gas, it's worth its weight in gold.
You're still paying for gas in some form or another.
Because I don't remember what he told me, but like these charging stations, I don't know how much they charge per 60 minutes or whatever it is or whatever, but it's not far off from like gas prices.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but everybody's going to find a way to get their slice of the pie, man.
Everybody does.
Oh, yeah.
I think we've got too involved with money.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
As a society, we have gotten too involved with money.
Yeah, I mean, I think we discussed this earlier, man. Money it's a necessity, but it doesn't have to be the root of all evil.
Yeah.
I think we get so involved with it to where, you know, somebody calls and borrows $25 from you, and then you're like, well, where's my 25?
Yeah.
Me, I'm the kind of guy, man, if you need 25 and I got it, I'll give you the shirt off my back, and I won't ask for it back. But if I ever ask for you back, it's because I really have to have it, and I expect you to give it back to me.
Oh, yeah.
Which is few far and in between for me. But
it's kind of like you want to insert that scene from The Godfather. I'll do this for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
But one day I will call upon you. You know?
I'll call on you, and I'll need a favor.
Like, hit subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, that's right. TikTok, tweet till your fingers bleed.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, it's money. And sadly enough, I mean, the country even right now is ran solely on money, whether you're Democrat, Republican, you know, it just always comes down to money. The budget, the inflation, I don't know. I just don't think things have to be the way they are. And I think the world could be a hell of a lot better if we would all just hug somebody. We need to go back to September 12, man, 2001, the day after 9/11, because everybody was united. And they was standing on the Capitol steps singing God Bless America, both sides of the parties, and everybody loved everybody. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, it's funny how 23 years later we forget how we were united once.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Well, I mean, the United States was always united across the board on a lot of different little things here and there. But then you've got that area where people are in their own little world, their own little TikTok or Instagram. They go to work, they go home, and they don't give a flying about any damn thing.
Yeah.
They're just that self-absorbed on so many daggum levels. And I think that's what the problem is.
And I mean, truth be told, man, I don't blame those guys. I blame the parents. The parents are the ones who allow them to be that way.
Yeah.
And, you know, you called it the United States of America. I'm wondering how much longer that title is going to be around, because we are so divided right now.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, that's either way right or you're way left, and there's really no middle ground, because if you want middle ground, it's not popular enough for either side to where it's ever going to matter. And it's just, I see so much hate in the world, man, and it tears me up, because I'm like, it doesn't have to be this way. It really don't.
Well, I mean, that's like, have you seen the girl, Emily something? She does like relationship advice, stuff like that on Reels and Instagram and all that stuff. She's funny to listen to, but it's like the dating world right now.
Swipe left or swipe right.
Yeah, that's all you got to do, you know. But as far as, you know, the guys, you know, throughout time, guys approached women.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's the way it's always been. And now it's like the guy approaches a woman
after the fact,
and she's like, "Get away from me, you perv," or, you know, they're constantly shooting average men down. And then you've got the average man that's sick of the shit, staying to himself, and he's not approaching anymore. Well, then you got those same women going, "Well, I don't get approached." Well, what the hell do you think just happened?
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, man, because it's on the one hand, you know, growing up in Nashville, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you grew up, and I'm sure social media wasn't around at that time because it wasn't around whenever I was younger.
I didn't get.
So you got to date the people off Trinity Lane or where you went to high school at.
No, Trinity Lane and Dickerson Road was pretty much, you didn't have to date anybody unless you had some money.
I forgot about that. Yeah, you can always post up at the Broken Spoke.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's a throwback. But you know, it's you know, I guess the blessing side of it is to where you can see the world and you can meet some fine young lady out in California and swipe right, or South Carolina or Chicago or whatever, and if it lines up, you can the two people can meet to see how it works out rather than being so secluded into a small region. Whereas when I was growing up, you was growing up, it's like, okay, so who's going to be the high school homecoming queen?
Yeah, you know, and you pretty much figured
do I have a shot?
It was going to be the captain of the football team and the captain of the cheerleading, because they were always dating anyway.
Oh yeah,
it didn't matter what school you went to.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't have social media, but you know what I had? I had the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And the best thing I ever did was fly the coop, man, and go abroad and just see what the world was like. And then by the time I came back, social media was starting to come up.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to see, I'm like, well, I lived a social media lifestyle, but it was in person.
Yeah.
You know, because I got to meet people from Japan and Korea and California and all over the rest of the country just because of what I was doing.
Yeah.
But now it's in the palm of your hand, and it's not. It's easier, but it's still.
I think it's impersonal.
Yeah, it still stinks for the lady who was not the homecoming queen is just the average girl in school who got some looks, and now she might find somebody in Colorado instead of Nashville.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so it's a blessing and a curse.
That's like the 80s. I mean, we had so much good music and sexy cars and girls, and we had parties and we had fun, and we didn't have to worry about the phone and
the accessibility,
all that other crap. You know, when I hung the phone up on the wall in the hallway of Mom's house,
yeah,
even though it had a 20-foot long cord that reached all over the house, when I hung it up and I walked out that front door,
there wasn't no getting you.
Nobody knew where the hell I was at.
Exactly.
I had a few friends. They knew where to find me.
Yeah.
Because we was always cruising Rivergate. I was running up and down Galveston Road.
Back when Rivergate was a cool place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back when you could, I remember first place I ever cruised at was Madison Square. Because they used to have cruising back then. They had a Shoney's that still had the car hops coming out.
Oh, wow.
And it was neat as all get out. And we would line up around the back of it. And we would be sitting in the car listening to, very first release of a Richard Pryor comedy tape, and laughing our ass off.
Yeah.
And having a blast. And then a bunch of guys that had the fast cars, we'd go hit Galveston Road. We'd ride them down Galveston Road, and we'd run red light to red light. You can't do that anymore. They're like 100 foot apart now.
Yeah.
But it was just so much stuff back then. I told another songwriter, they were like, I'm kind of in songwriter mode. And I'm like, what do you want to know? I got stories for days.
Oh, yeah.
I can't write shit for myself, but,
Yeah, the 80s was a different time, man. I mean, I grew up in the 90s, but it's, to hear people talk about it, and, like Guns N' Roses came out and The Great White and all those heavy hair metal bands. But the great thing about the 80s and the 90s, man, is like music was music.
Yeah.
And to blare it out of the back of the car at the Shoney's parking lot or wherever, back then people weren't so guarded to where they would let it happen. It's like, hey, there's teenagers having a good time. Well, now, once you got out of hand and acting stupid, yeah, they jump all over you.
Oh yeah, you get the blue lights and straighten your ass up. But And so, yeah, it's another thing. Nowadays, you've got subs. You can dial it all in. You can do rap. You can do all kinds of stuff on your car stereo. Back then, we built our own damn shit.
Oh, yeah.
We had the speakers.
Particle board and felt.
Yeah, that was it. You know, I mean, I had a 67 Mustang Fastback GT. That was my first car.
Oh, wow.
And is a 4-speed.
You didn't need Tinder to swipe left or swipe right.
No, I didn't. I had the car.
Back. Yeah.
Let me tell you, there's something to be said for that fold down rear back seat.
Oh, yeah.
And the girl looking at the stars.
That's right.
But I had Pioneer coaxials in the very back. I had Cricket 4x10s or whatever they were up underneath the seat. And I had 3, because we didn't have amps back then. We had power boosters. And I had 3 big mouth power boosters that were 50 watts apiece. And they had bass, treble, and mid-range on a little EQ on the very front of it. So I could attach one to the very back, boost the bass, and then the other ones that I had throughout the car, I could designate how I wanted them. Dude, I'd have the inside of that car rocking at 110 dB.
Oh, my God. And the fact that you live to tell about it.
The fact that I can still hear is amazing.
And you're sitting here doing a podcast.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I can remember, man, going through the high school parking lot in the 90s, and these guys have us like, man, I got 15-inch Rockford Fosgates, and I've got this 500 amp watt pushing this, and I got these mids and these tweeters and these highs. And I'm like, dude, all I know is I got stock in the car.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I don't know if it's a 4-inch round front speaker or if I've got 6x9s in the rear. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But my first car was a 1983 Chevrolet Citation that I never could get the title for. And then by the time I went back to get the title, the dude done left, and I done paid him the money, and I roofed houses all summer to own it.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I finally got a truck. I got me a 1992 F-150 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Ford Ranger. Then after that, there was no looking back. I'm a truck guy.
Yeah. My dad had a 1976 Ford Ranger 100.
No power steering.
No power steering.
Yep. I know which truck you're talking about.
3-speed on the column.
Oh, wow. 3 on the tree, man.
Inline 6.
Oh, wow.
And let me tell you something. I had never, to this day, I have never seen
another one like it.
An old man take that truck and places 4-wheel drives would say, oh, hell no.
Oh, wow.
With regular old street tires.
Has he still got it?
No, he's passed away. He got rid of the truck. He got rid of that truck, and then he bought a 1946 Apache.
Those are some badass trucks,
yeah.
Man. Was it finished, or was it like
no? It was finished.
A hobby truck.
It was finished.
Oh, wow.
And it was nice. And he drove it for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then somebody stopped him, wanted to look at it, and handed him a hell of a lot more cash than what he paid for it. So
sounds about right.
Yeah.
Again, the world's going vintage.
Yeah, exactly. I got a buddy of mine up here in Portland, Danny. Anytime I want vintage, I just go over to his garage because he's got it. It's all over the place over there.
Yeah, I mean, sitting in my driveway right now, I've got a 1989 Toyota pickup truck.
Yeah.
Single cab. I've got a 1989 Ford Bronco.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a 1965 Mustang coupe.
Sweet.
And those are just like hobby cars that I need to do something with.
Yeah.
But the great thing is like if something ever happens and the world comes to an end and credit goes out the window and I don't have a car payment anymore, I always got something to drive.
Oh, yeah.
As long as there's gas in the pump.
Well, I mean, in case of an EMP, make sure you take the points out.
Yep.
Put them in a little coffee tin. You'll be all right.
Oh, yeah.
Then you can just change the...
And I always wanted to make sure that I was never without transportation. So
yeah.
I'm just like, I got 3 vehicles right there that actually run to where something goes sideways, I'm getting from point A to point B.
Oh, hell yeah. You just got to keep it.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be the hard part.
So tell me, man, you doing CMA Fest next year? What are you doing?
Probably.
Sound like you had a great time this year.
I had a blast. It was the first time ever being down there, and we had artists was talking about the show. PR people were talking about the show. We actually had a representative from the CMA people themselves come over where they told us, we've heard so much about your show and your setup here. We had to come see it for ourselves. That's where I got these stickers.
Oh.
The person gave me the stickers, and she was like, you're doing a hell of a job. She said, you're doing more for country music right now than a lot of people.
That's awesome, man.
You know, and it was just, I'm not knocking other podcasts. I really ain't. But when you show up to an event, don't bring your laptop and one microphone that you're back and forth with the artist.
Yeah.
Go in. We went in with full 3-camera setup.
Look, you got to look like a pro.
Yeah, we did, you know, and I was very proud of my people. Caitlin Backus, my producer, she rocked the shit out of it. Julie Murphy, which has been a friend of mine for years, ever since high school. She had everything laid out, had all the artists booked, everything done, and everything went off just like clockwork. I loved the hell out of it.
And you talking about showing up with a computer and a microphone and what you brought in. I'll never forget what my papa told me, and then it was reaffirmed when I first moved to town. Mm-hmm. And this is the truth, and I still think of it to this day. I was always told, if you're going to show up, you better show out.
Yeah.
Because the first impression is the last impression. So I get what you're saying, you know, showing up with 3 cameras or whatever, or my performance at the Mockingbird, or,
Yeah.
you know, it's just, you know, whenever you're in that circle, in that area of expertise, you have to look as professional as you can be because you're surrounded by professionals.
Oh, yeah.
And the only way you're going to get recognized by those professionals is if you look the part.
Yeah.
So, and I had a buddy of mine named Sam Tate who wrote multiple #1s when I first came to town. He was like, hey, man, I got 2 pieces of advice for you. I said, what? He's like, know your lane and stay in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay. He's like, and anytime you show up, you better show out.
Yeah.
That's whenever it all hit home.
Yeah. And see, that's, I totally agree with that saying.
Yeah.
You know, because I know a lot of people
that half-ass it. I do.
I think they show up with just enough, is what I call it. Just enough.
Yeah.
That way they can make the money, or they get an interview, or they get this, you know, and it's, I tell everybody, podcasting ain't for the meek. This is just like me and you's on the same playing field, you know, because artist, podcast, we've got to build our reputation. We've got to build up
our following. Yeah. Our clientele. Yeah.
And it's a long way before you get that first meal.
Mm-hmm. The easiest thing is making the first meal.
I doubt if I ever see a meal. Maybe think if we go to the bank and just ask if we can see it.
I think the only time I see a meal is like the day I die. I'm gonna be like, hey, you know what? Just buy $1 million worth of fake currency off of Amazon, just so I can know you sent me out in $1 million.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
I've talked to. I got a couple of friends from back in the day. They're female, but we were just friends, and I do have them promise to show up at my funeral and speak like, you know, French or something. Act like you don't know anybody, but wear all black and the veil and everything, and just talk about how great I was. I would appreciate that.
That's funny. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of truth to be said about that, man. But I mean, then again, you know, you was talking about people. I know people or know of people who have, you know, have the whole world at their fingertips, and they're trying so hard to self-sabotage it. Mm-hmm. And I don't get it.
You know, here's something I don't get. And I know this is going to touch home with you because you've seen it too. I know you've seen it too. Half the fucking people out there have seen it. It's these people that lie.
Oh, yeah.
Pretend they're something they're not.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing they know, you know, they've got a deal of some kind, and you know they can't sing worth a shit, or what they're doing is fake, or they're lying about it, and they move up the ladder. And I'm just like, What
but
the hell?
Is it a pay to play deal or is it just a deal?
It all depends
like
on
a legit three, like the big 3 deal.
Not the big 3.
Oh, okay, I got you.
You know, but you see them get a deal.
Yeah.
And you're just like, how in the hell did that happen? I know you've seen it.
I've seen it. Yeah. I'm baffled. I've never been able to answer that question either. And if there's one thing I've been able to do, man, you know, a lot of people forget to realize this. Nashville as a whole for the industry is a very small ocean.
Oh, yeah.
With a lot of sharks in the middle of it.
Yeah, we've talked about them before.
So, I mean, you have to be careful. And there's so many people, myself included, that's been taken advantage of.
Yeah.
But one thing I can tell you is I've learned a lot of very expensive lessons. Mm-hmm. But the great thing is like now I'm more guarded and I know how the industry works as a whole. And it still blows my mind, man, to just, you know, you try to coach, you know, being a little bit older, a little bit wiser than I was when I came to town. You try to coach somebody who's in their early 20s.
Yeah.
Like, hey, probably not the best decision. Well, hey, man, you know what? I was talking to so-and-so, and then they start name dropping.
Yeah.
And it's like, so-and-so told me this, and so-and-so told me that. I was like, hey, I'm just telling you, man, I've been here for about 10 or 12 years, and I've been down that road, but if it's your grave, man, if you want to dig it, so be it.
Well, it's, you know, doing the production side of it since I was 19, 20 and growing up in it and getting took advantage of. Mm-hmm. Sharks circle you too. Oh, yeah. If you're doing production stuff. I mean, it's everybody wants something for free. Nowadays, it's everybody wants something for free, but they still want you to pay them.
Yeah.
You know, and I just quit being lazy. Go get a job.
Yeah.
I got a job. You got a job.
Oh, yeah. We all got to work to daggum feed the dream, right?
Yeah, feed the dream.
Yeah, and it's, for me, I sit there and think about all the sharks in the ocean. But even with all those sharks, man, there's always, I don't know the right analogy, there's always one whale that'll roll in and scoop you up and spit you out where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Kind of like Jonah from the Bible.
Yeah, yeah.
There's always a whale that'll scoop you up and spit you out where you're supposed to be. But that happens so few far and in between.
Yeah.
I mean,
I tell you what
and the most part, most of us become chums. So
what does it for me though is, because ever since I started this podcast, I would get to those times where I'm not seeing the results that I wanted, and I'd get down on myself, and I'd screw this. I can just close it all down, you know. It'd be like the next morning, something good would happen. Mm-hmm. And it was like somebody, you know, from upstairs, giving me a kick in the back of the head or a slap or something, going, you know, this is what you're meant to do.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if more people realized what they were meant to do, what your purpose here, it would wake a lot of them up.
Oh, I won't make no bones about it. I cannot tell you how many times I've sat on my side porch or whatever and just wondered, like, why in the hell did I leave 96 South Carolina to come up here to get kicked in the teeth as much as I've been kicked in the teeth? And then the next day I'll wake up and be like, oh, wow, let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do this. Yeah. And I'll be good for a couple months and I'll have another day. And I'm like, well, they didn't do this or I didn't do that. And I couldn't get this and I couldn't get that. Couldn't get this show and I should have been on that show or whatever the case may be. And, and it's just like the next morning, it don't last but about 12 hours. But if you don't kick yourself in the ass every once in a while, man, you can't find the fire that you need to keep burning.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's the truth.
Yeah. It's crazy. Determination.
That's it, man. And I guess, you know, being the Marine that I am, it's like we see the hill, we take the hill. So
well, you're hard headed.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay to get kicked in the ass, man. But you know what? You need to lick your wounds and keep moving.
Exactly. Putting there to clip in and keep going.
But unfortunately, there's a lot of people in town that have been here 5 or 6 years, man, that they probably get right there. Mm-hmm. It's like, man, you know what? I tried. I'm going home. And then right when that door is about to open, they just turn around and they walk away from it.
Yeah. See, and I've talked about that because that is one of my things. Because doing the production work, I was around so many people starting out, everything else. And it would depress me to know that they got took advantage of. They gave up their dream. They said, screw it. They went home. I had a guy on the show. He actually burnt his favorite guitar in a bonfire in his backyard because he was so done with it.
I think I'd have hung it on the wall, let a bit of dust come out. I don't think I would have burned it.
Yeah, but my thing is, those songs you wrote,
Yeah.
nobody's going to hear them now. They're in the back of a closet somewhere.
Yep.
But one of those songs could have saved somebody, could have turned somebody's life around, could have meant so much to a person.
And it's weird that you kind of segue back to that. Is like we was talking about Cowboy like that earlier. I told you I've had it for 3 years.
Yeah,
and I was really hesitant about releasing it.
I know.
Well, the reason I was hesitant is like it's such a great song to where I know once it's gone, it belongs to the people. It don't belong to me anymore.
Yeah,
and I want to make sure that whenever I release it, that the people get the whole story behind it, and I do the best thing that I can to make sure I get it to the people.
Yeah, because you've been talking. Well, I've known about it for a year.
Yeah, at least. I mean, me and Jamie wrote that song in 2021.
Yeah,
and I think I recorded it early 20. I recorded it. Yeah, I recorded it early 2022, like in January. Mm-hmm. And I just been sitting on it. I did it with my buddy Jeff Huskins down at BMG.
Yeah,
and
Jeff's good people, man.
Oh, he's a great dude. But going back to what you was talking about, people just giving up and going home. Mm-hmm. And I think you've had her on your show, Allie Colleen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a great chick, man. I've wrote songs with her. She's a good human being. Mm-hmm. And I remember talking to her. I was like, so what are you doing full time since you got out of Belmont? Because she went to Belmont and graduated. She's like, just doing music.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't got a job? She's like, nope. My dad always told me if I had a plan B, it's because I didn't believe in plan A enough.
Yeah.
She's like, so I'm just going all in. And that's what she's done.
I get that.
Man. Yeah. And she got that advice from her dad, and her dad's a very wise individual.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to see what she's doing right now, man. I mean, she's doing a lot, and she's out on tour, and
yeah. I had
she's great.
When she came on the show, I was sitting out front and they walked up, and what I got a kick out of, and this tells you what type of human being she is, because I thought it was cool as hell and a little bit hippie-esque. She's not worried about her guitar. She's not worried about anything else. And she's scanning my yard for 4-leaf clovers.
Yep, that's her.
And she found one and handed it straight to me.
Yeah, she's like, that's Allie, man.
I mean, I thought it was funny as I get out.
She appreciates the small things in life, man, and she doesn't take anything for granted, man. She's such a great chick.
That's what I loved about it.
If I can ever get her to slow down, maybe we can write a song about it. But she's been so busy.
Well, I mean, she's on tour with Jelly Roll now.
Yeah, I mean, we're both busy, but she's a hell of a lot busier than I am.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see what she's doing. I got a buddy of mine named Ryan Larkins who's signed with Red Street Records now with Jay DeMarcus. Mm-hmm. He just made his Opry debut. My buddy Sal Gonzalez with Label 22, he made his Opry debut. And that song, The Painter by Cody Johnson, Ryan wrote. I mean, it's really cool to see people that I come up with in town are starting to graduate. So I'm just like, that goes back to that door to where it's almost open. There ain't no way in hell I'm fixing to walk away.
Exactly.
Not that I expect anything out of that, but it just shows me that I've been around good company. It's like, okay, I've been doing something right all along. I just got to keep grinding, and
it's the circles, man.
Yeah, it is. It's a very circle-ish, cliquish town. It really is.
It's crazy, but it is.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
You just got to watch which circle you're in.
And I've been in some bad circles, but yeah, man, it's cool.
I'm still trying to figure out what circle I'm in. So, I mean,
all I know is the one I'm in goes round and round.
Yeah.
Wanna go round and round and round. Yeah.
Wheels on the bus.
It's one big It's a big industry, but it's once you start working in it, man, and meeting this one and meeting that, and you find out really quick how small it is.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I'm running into people now that I met 8-9 years ago. We're starting to work again together, and it's not because we didn't want to. It's just we all get busy. We have our own careers.
Oh yeah.
We go a certain way, and then they go a certain way, and then it's almost like we meet in the middle.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right. live, one night only.
From Nashville, Tennessee, Chris Turner. What's the name of your band? Have you gave him a name?
Nah, it's just Chris Turner. When I first started out, I was branding myself as Chris Turner and the Porch Crickets. And then we ran for about 6 months, man. And then it's just like I started finding sub players because they couldn't do it because they were booked. And I was like, what's the point in me having a band name if I can't keep the band together and they change faces every week?
Yeah.
So I just like, it's Chris Turner. But
I totally understand that.
I still got it. My mom was always my biggest fan. So we was playing a festival down in South Carolina called Railroad Days, Orangeburg, South Carolina. And I still got my first banner that I had made hanging up in my war room. I call it my war room where we rehearse and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I look at it, and she took a picture of us with that. Oh, muchos gracias, brother.
You're welcome, brother.
We took a picture. She took a picture of us performing with that banner in the background, and at the bottom of it, she put Chris Turner and the Porch Crickets. So I still got it. That's how I was branded when I first started.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
When I was first doing stuff, I was running around with Mafia, Hard Knocks, Justin Heat, just a bunch of. It was glam metal day back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Nashville had a whole rock scene going and everything. It was pretty cool, but it was all over by the end, exit end.
Yeah. The rock block.
Yeah, the rock block.
Yeah.
And we all wound up at the Gold Nugget having fun. So
I never got to go to Gold Nugget. I went to Broken Spoke.
Broken Spoke was fun.
Broken Spoke was cool until it wasn't.
Yeah.
I think until they sold it or something happened. I think they was running drugs or something out of it. I don't know.
There ain't no telling.
Yeah, but it was a great spot.
Yeah.
And trying to remember what else is. So much is left, man, because it's all high rises now.
Well, I mean, even on Dickerson Road, the Starlight Club.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was a big.
It's a beast house now, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like a Halloween place or
it's
something.
a Halloween haunt
I
place.
can remember when it was Starlight. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the thing back in the day, back in the 90s. If you couldn't get laid anywhere else in town, go to the Starlight.
Well, even now, I mean, the Wild Horse is gone because Luke Combs bought it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they're changing the whole image of it, which is fine. I mean, good for Luke. I mean, it's still the biggest dance floor in Nashville, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But see, back in the day,
there's like a whole huge facelift going on right now.
yeah. But back in the day, there was a place out in Madison. It was called Denim and Diamonds.
Yeah. I remember that.
And it was just one big, huge dance floor, and they had like
4 bars on the inside.
yeah,
of
it had a karaoke, had hip hop, it had all kinds of different things, you know.
Where was that at in Madison?
It was right there in the square. Used to be the old Castro Knott building.
Is it down there by Rivergate?
JOB's, yeah. You know where JOB's are? It's a pool hall. It's been in Madison Square forever.
Where is actually Madison Square? Because, I mean, I live down in Goodlettsville, so I'm not far from it, and I'm in Madison quite a bit. I'm just trying to figure out where it's at.
Well, you got to get over on Gallatin Road.
Right.
You know where the McDonald's is right there?
Down there by the U-Haul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that big square right up above it.
Oh, that's Madison Square.
Yeah, that's Madison Square.
Okay.
There's, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had
I know
all
what
that
you're talking
stuff.
about, yeah.
And where we used to cruise was on the back side of the building, and it would go all the way around the back side of the building. There's a movie theater back there in the back. Mm-hmm. And we would cruise around the back side of that, and Shoney's was on the upper end of it. They had the car hops, and you could sit up there and eat and then go cruise. But Denim and Diamonds was right there in the multi-level part.
The only reason I ask is because whenever I was in the Corps, I was on 4th of July. I was on a 96-hour weekend. Mm-hmm. And me and a buddy of mine, we drove from Camp Lejeune. We had just got home. And we drove from there because my cousin was living in Nashville. She lived in Hendersonville.
Yeah.
And she took us to Denim and Diamonds, and we went downtown to like Lonnie's karaoke and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I didn't know how to place it because it was my first time here. I was thinking geographically where it was at. Then I moved here. I'm like, where in the world did that place go? Denim and Diamonds was cool. So was Lonnie's karaoke room and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the reason I was asking about it, because I was trying to place it in my mind, but I didn't realize it was that close to where I live. But it should have made sense because she lived in Hendersonville off Saundersville Road.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was it was a great place. My dad and mom went there a lot. Dad learned how to country dance.
Oh, wow.
And he went out there and started dancing around.
And now up there they've got, what is it, Madison Bowl?
I don't know what they got up there.
They've got the Madison Bowling Alley, and they've actually got a venue in there, kind of like the Brooklyn Bowl downtown.
Oh, yeah. That's over East Side Bowl.
Yeah. That's
right off of Bradley Parkway.
Yeah. And it's just, it's funny how they're turning these bowling alleys into like legit venues. It's really cool.
Yeah, and it's the lighting systems they've got in some of these are right on par with today's industry stuff. So,
wow,
they got movers, they got all kinds of stuff. And I haven't been to Brooklyn Bowl yet.
I've not been there either, but I'm in serious need of an upgrade in my lighting rig. So, anybody out there want to sponsor me for a lighting rig, I'll take it.
Hey, we can call Bandit. He can steal you some.
Yeah. I mean, they've got all these lights now that operate off of Ableton, man, and you program it with Ableton, and then it syncs in with the music. I guess like you see all these Christmas lights and stuff like that. It's insane. It's above my pay grade. I just want to play my guitar and sing my song.
That's why I quit doing it, because it
just got too complicated.
Well, it wasn't complicated as much as it was. They took the humanity out of the light show.
I mean, they did the same thing with music production.
Well, I know. That's why I'm still an analog kind of guy.
Yeah, me too. That's why my whole sound system's analog. I've got the capability to run digital, but I keep the analog side of it to where if I'm in the middle of nowhere and have no way to hook up, I'm always going to be able to perform a show.
Yeah.
So.
You got to.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Especially if you're in the middle of 96 South Carolina with no internet connection. And all you got is a flatbed, a generator, and a 115 plug. It's like, let's go. I got you.
Exactly. 15 different things plugged into 2 outlets.
Oh, yeah. And it's crazy how that works, too, because, I mean, I can run my whole system, just my system, not all the instruments, but just my system off of a 115 outlet plug.
That is wild.
Yeah. I mean, then you got to plug in like the guitars and all that other stuff, but just the sound, it's a 115 outlet.
Yeah, we had one of the rigs that I used back in the day had 3 PV amps, and then you had the board, then you had the effects. Mm-hmm. So that's 5-6 outlets right there.
That's what I got. I got 3 crowns. I've got an Alesis for effects, and then I've got a 16-channel analog Mackie mixer. Mm-hmm. I got a 100-foot snake. I've got 2 18 JBLs, and I got 4 15-inch 12-inch floor wedges.
Awesome.
And I've got 2 JBL subs. So all that stuff ties into the back of it, but my amps power it. And
we just need to throw a party.
Yeah, we do. We do.
We can
I told Cochran, those guys at Label 22, we're doing this EP release party, hopefully at 3rd and Lindsley in September. I was like, when I saw it yesterday, why don't we just shut off one end of Broadway, man, and just set up? I've got everything and just rock out like it's nobody's business. Mm-hmm. So, well, I don't know, but I'm excited about it. It's going to be a cool show.
It'll be a blast.
Yeah. It'd be even cooler if you did. It'd be really cool if, we could actually do that, like shut down like an edge of Broadway, but I don't even know what the permits would cost and talk to Chamber
there's
of
no
Commerce
telling.
and all that, man. And then you got to deal with everybody on Broadway because they're going to be angry because you got everybody in the street and they're not inside the bars drinking beer. So, God forbid you let people have a good time without getting drunk.
Maybe, I don't know. I was
Speaking of, cheers, man.
Cheers, brother.
What's this, 3 Rangers?
This is 3 Rangers whiskey here.
Oh, that's nice.
It's smooth.
That's really nice. Yes. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Got a little kick.
I like that. I got some buddies of mine that are veterans. They started a bourbon company called Four Branches. Mm-hmm. And I was there for the bourbon launch.
Yeah.
It's so good. And they had Cicerone come out and tell us about every note in it and had this big thing, and we launched it, and it was really cool. Some bougie golf club down in Franklin. But they've done really well for themselves. So it's really cool to see.
Bougie.
And isn't it funny how, all these new bourbon companies and whiskey companies and
they're popping up out of everywhere.
and then 9 times out of 10 it's veterans, because it makes it seem like the only thing we did was learn how to drink while we were in the military. You won't give me good bourbon?
I thought that was on the requirement list.
Oh, it is. It is. You got to have a rock gut and a steel liver, man.
Exactly. And what's funny is, I'm going to tell you, you're going to laugh your ass off. I'm sitting here in this chair talking to you doing the podcast, right?
Right.
And we're talking bourbon and all this other stuff. And I felt something in my pants leg. And I put my hand up in there.
TMI.
No, not that high up. I found a snuggle in my freaking pants leg. Oh, while I'm doing a podcast. That is hilarious.
Well, I was too lazy to do it, man. But you want to talk about a true musician? I'm sitting there, and I was walking in your door in your house a while ago to come do the podcast, and I lifted my foot. I was like, "There's something down in my boot." I was like, "Oh, that's right. I put a guitar pick in there, so I could always know that I had one. So I keep a guitar pick in my boot."
You got to.
It's just amazing, man. It's crazy how much you'll be on stage, man, and you're just looking for a pick and you can't find a pick.
Yeah,
so
it's in your boot.
it's in my boot. I got one in my boot.
You could get a boot company to make a little pick packet on the side.
Hey, that's a good idea. Yeah.
That way you can just reach down and get it.
Yeah. I mean, I've got like on my mic stand, I've got like a pick clip that I load up. But even between that, man, by the time I try to take them off at the end of the night, 4 or 5 of them fall on the floor.
Well, that's why you're supposed to thumb them.
And they're all custom picks. So
Yeah.
I'm about out. I think the last order I got was like 200. And I'm just like, I need to order 200 more of them. Because a lot of times, I'll throw them out to the crowd or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just don't throw them hats out, because those are nice hats.
You got one, didn't you?
No, I didn't get one.
You should have told me.
Dude, I don't beg for stuff unless I pay for it.
Yeah, you got to pay for a hat. I'll bring you a hat. Next show you come to, I'll give you one. They are really good hats. They're good quality. I got it from a buddy of mine named Dave Spielberg. He works for Apollo Merch Company.
Yeah.
And he's been doing a lot of my merch, man. I've known him for years, and he sent me the design. I was like, "What kind of hat is it?" He said, "Richardson 112." I was like, "All right, you ain't got to say nothing else. I'll take 50 of them."
Yeah.
But you get what you pay for. They're not inexpensive by any stretch of the matter, but they're great quality.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like my merch. I've got the Nesting Project over there in Smyrna. Mm-hmm. It's run by a real good friend of mine, Corrine Chapman Morris. And she used to be an artist.
She ain't kin of Gary, is she?
No.
Okay. Old Chappie.
But she handles all my merch.
Oh, nice.
Only thing they got to do is go to the website, type it in, order what they want. They make it, drop it, send it straight to you.
Oh, so you've got like a back end set up on your website.
Yeah, it's a Inksoft company.
Where it goes straight to the merchandise company, and then they send it out.
Yeah.
Nice. I've looked at some of that stuff online, man, like, what is it, Shopify and Printify and all that other stuff. I just talked about this earlier, man. I have a hard time trying to keep up with social media, let alone trying to keep up with a whole nother merch account.
That's why I let her do it, because she handles all of it.
Yeah.
If I did it the other way, I'd end up having to buy a warehouse and stocking all this stuff.
Is it a buy-in, or it's print on demand?
No, they print on demand.
Oh, so you didn't have to like buy in like 100, 200 pieces?
No.
Oh, wow.
No.
Yeah, we need to talk after the show.
I'll give you her number. I've got no problem.
Yeah. Is it good quality? I mean, what kind of shirts is it? Is it good quality shirts?
I'll show you. I'll give you one.
Yeah, and check that out.
It's the shirts I have here are the old logo, like on that sign.
Yeah.
I haven't ordered any.
Be kind of hard to do the hats though, because they're patch hats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, those would take a while.
Yeah. Patch hats take a while. The embroidered ones, they don't take hardly no time at all.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just don't like an embroidered hat anymore.
I like them on certain occasions. It just depends on the logo and what it's about.
Yeah.
Like I'm digging and I'm trying to find me a Tennessee Oilers hat that's got like the embroidered Oiler rig on it.
Oh yeah.
Just to have it because I'm a huge Titans fan. I love the Tennessee Titans, even though we suck right now. And I guess it's because when I was growing up in South Carolina, we had the Carolina Panthers, but they're out of Charlotte. But South Carolina never really had a team, so I pulled for the Indianapolis Colts because I've got family in Indiana, and I was like, well, that's the only closest home team I've got. And then whenever I moved to Nashville, I was like, from this day forward, I'm a Titans fan because they're 20 minutes down the road, and I love football.
You know what'd be cool?
What's that?
Before the game, the Titans actually endorse you to do a
show
tailgate party.
Yeah, I agree.
And do the show. That would be awesome.
I'm glad you brought that to my attention because they did that last year, and I need to talk to Michelle, my publicist, and see if she can talk to some people to try to make that happen because I would love to do that. That would be awesome.
Oh yeah, especially with your vocals, your songs that you've got. You could even do some covers that encompass all that, and I mean, you could just like throw one hell of a damn party, dude.
It would be fun.
It would,
because we have fun when we play.
Oh yeah, I'll be backstage taping you. It'd be funny.
That's right. Sure enough. Get you out there broadcasting from the side.
I could broadcast from the side or just introduce you. I don't care.
Do you ever do live broadcast?
Yeah, every now and then.
Well, you could do it live from Titan Stadium.
I've actually, I've got 2 events coming up that I'm actually going to be live broadcasting on each event.
Oh, that's cool. What are they?
Can't tell you. Not on there.
You're not taking the kitchen table, are you?
No, I'm not taking the kitchen table.
I was going to say, man, that's a day job just hauling
it.
I helped you haul it upstairs, man. I know how much
I know.
it
This
is.
thing's heavy as I'll get out.
But it's a centerpiece, man. It's a really cool centerpiece for the show.
And, but no, we're going to take a 3-camera setup, microphones, everything. And Caitlin will have everything on the production desk. And we're going to basically, on the one event, it's, I don't know, I might be able to tell you about that one. I'll have to pull it up.
I got to give you some news, too. I got to give you some scoop.
Some scoop?
Some scoop. Let's scoop it up.
I like some scoop. Yeah, I can throw this one out there. Anyway, I got to take my glasses off to read it. Y'all forgive me. But it's at October 19th, Saturday, noon till 6 p.m. at the Palace Theater and the Star Ranch, Gallatin, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. It's called the Stars of Tomorrow Gallatin Fanfare. And it's going to have
a mini CMA Fest or something.
It's going to be like a mini CMA Fest, and they've got Chris Rogers, Rob Jones, C4, Dawn Ricks, Mission Road.
I know Dawn, man. I love Dawn. She's a sweet chick.
Kyle Engel, Reno and Fink, Lee Newton, which is coming. She's going to be on the show. David Easterling, he's been on the show. David Watson, Julian Edens, Sisters J, DEF Dogs, Ridge Banks, Maddie Taylor.
Oh, I wrote with Ridge.
Did you?
Me and Jamie wrote a song called with Ridge called "My Bible on Vinyl," which is probably going to be the name of my record.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm gonna love it.
I love Ridge. He's a great dude.
Scotty Combs, G-Town Players, Terry Bartlett, Craig Hendricks, Higher Ground, Faith Gomez, Clay Bitter, and a ton of other. But it's 2 stages, and they're going to have meet and greets and everything else. And as far as I know,
that's cool.
I believe I'm going to be the only podcast there because the girl that's putting this on actually contacted me directly.
Nice.
So we're going to be there, and we're going to hang out, and we're going to.
I'd love to be there, but I'll be in Chattanooga that night.
Yeah, see.
Yeah. I'm a gypsy, man.
Mm-hmm.
I was born a rambling man.
A rambling man.
He was born a rambling man. So the scoop for me.
Scoop it away.
Yeah. So.
Do you need some more?
I have. Yeah, I'll take a little bit more. So I have I don't think I told you this or not, but here in the past 6 months, I have kind of dove into the acting world a little bit.
A little bit of the old acting?
Yes.
Not into porn stuff, are you?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
That's scary.
So I got a small part on this film called Christmas Miracle in Nashville. And we filmed it back, I think January, February.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the production assistants on that, if your viewing audience listens to country music and they don't know, and we was talking about bluegrass earlier,
yeah,
you know, the song Keith came from this after the fact. But one of the production assistants actually signed and I can't talk too much about it because it hasn't been released yet. It's supposed to be released next Thursday, the press release and all that.
Okay, cool.
But one of the production assistants was awarded the life rights to Ralph Stanley.
Awesome.
So she was awarded the life rights to film his life story.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got me in a pretty integral part in this movie that's coming up. And I think we're supposed to start filming September, October.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in theaters next fall.
Awesome.
So I'm really stoked about it. And it goes through the life of Stanley and how he got started, and it showcases a little bit of Keith Whitley and Ricky Skaggs and that whole Kentucky movement, man, back during bluegrass. And you know, I've even talked to people about it a little bit. It's like, who's Ralph Stanley? I was like, do you know Bill Monroe? Oh yeah. It's like, how do you know Bill Monroe and not Ralph Stanley? That's like,
yeah, well, you know,
it's like, you know, do you know Tim McGraw? Yeah. Do you know Kenny Chesney? Well, absolutely.
You know Ralph Stanley.
Yeah, it's kind of the same comparison. But, you know, it's really cool to be a part of it and to actually cement not only my music in country music that actually helped shape me as an individual, but it's really cool to actually be on screen portraying a part that was so integral in the life of a legend.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about the part, and it's a really true turning point in his life.
Oh yeah.
The part that I'm playing to where it's going to be really cool. And, you know,
I'll show up at the screen and be your hype man.
Yeah. and I'm not going to lie, man. I love acting just as much as I love playing music.
Yeah.
It's a whole different artistic side that I never thought that I had.
You've got so many different creative type juices going around. And I knew that from the first time I met you.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
You know, it's just the way your mind works. You're just so creative all the time. And it's like, you know, somebody's got a problem or something like that. You know, where's Chris? Oh, well, you need to do this, and you're done. You know, I mean, that's just the way your mind works.
And it's a blessing and a curse, man. And I know I've said that a dozen times on this podcast, man. But for me, my mind is always in creative mode. Every time I go to sleep, every time I wake up, I'm always thinking about, you know, what can I do more tomorrow that I didn't hit today in this particular field?
Yeah.
And even with my family, man, and my closest friends, yourself included, you know, I say, hey, man, don't sweat the petty things, pet the sweaty things. No, that's not the way I operate. If I didn't do everything I could today to do this, then I need to do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's 100 miles an hour all the time in my head.
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out a different angle, or honestly, the best way to depict it is one huge chess match. And I'm moving pieces all day long, trying to figure out how to get checkmate. But
well, it's like, when Caitlin's here and Julie's here, and we'll either before I do a show or it'll be after I'm doing a show, they'll be talking and turn around and ask me a question, and I'll be just like gone. I didn't hear a damn word they said because I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I need to do this. I need to do this. And trying to put the movement in an order that it needs to be. Just like sitting here talking to you, I'm still thinking about, okay, I got to edit this show. I got to put this show up.
Yeah.
And this is how it's going to go, but that's one thing I like about, and I told you this at the theater, the Mockingbird. You was one of the first shows that I did. You had faith in me, and you love being on the podcast, and you come on, and we had a lot of damn fun. We shot the shit, and, really you gave me a big chance, and I really appreciate that.
Dude, I didn't do anything, but I appreciate you saying that. I mean, I love the fact that it's informal and we just sit here and we shoot the shit and we have a good time and we catch up and
have a drink
and you got an audience that appreciates that, man. And it's really cool. I love doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, you was talking about, earlier, to kind of digress and go back to, you was talking about how we was talking about how the town's cliquish and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Prime example. I don't think I told you this story. It was right after, so I had a publishing deal with SB21 as a songwriter.
Yep.
And they wanted more than I wanted to give them, so I had to walk away from it.
Right.
Still love everybody that's over there. It's all fine, but from a business standpoint, it just wasn't a good fit for me.
Right.
And right after that, I went and Jeff, who we talked about earlier at BMG, he made a phone call for me, and I went and sat down with a label in town. And sitting there and everything's going great. It's like, man, we really love what you're doing. You got some really cool stuff. You got a great backstory. You got a great platform.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be in touch. It's like, yes, everything's coming to fruition.
Yep.
But then I've done some things in my career with certain people that they've had issues with in the past, and then I become collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can't even get a phone call.
And say, I don't think it needs to be that way.
It doesn't, because honestly, said person, chat every once in a while, but it's not like we know each other like that.
Yeah.
It was more or less from just trying to do the song justice, and it just... That's the only thing I can make of it, because whenever I came out of that meeting, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be signed next week. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like almost tearing up.
Yeah.
Because it's like all my hard work really paid off. And that was the last time that I got really, really jaded, to where now I'm like, okay, it is what it is, man. You call me, tell me where to be, and I'll be there.
Yeah.
So you hear all the stories, man. I've cut my teeth. And I've got all the horror stories, but it's made me a better person for it. But it sucks because it's whenever it comes to the music industry and the industry as a whole, not the music, but the industry, my heart is black as a freaking daggum mine of coal.
Oh yeah.
And
I totally get that.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks, but I understand too, to where, on their behalf, playing devil's advocate, they have to keep brand notoriety, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, if you've got one guy who believes in what I'm doing, and then he takes that information back to somebody else, it's like, this is probably trouble we don't need.
Yeah.
So don't fault them for it, but at the same time, again, this town is really harsh by being guilty by association.
Oh yeah, real bad.
But I don't fault anybody for it. I just use that for fuel and energy, and I'm like, okay, cool. Mm-hmm. You may not like it. It might have happened that way, but by God, there's somebody else out there. I guarantee you, because I played in front of 16,000 people who agree with me and they don't agree with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, That's what I love. I mean, it just, the passion and the fire. If you come to town and you've got that,
Oh yeah,
you can survive a lot, but you got to keep that drive.
you have to. And for me, it's. I think the biggest thing I can say is just because of my backstory and it's stuff. It's when I get ready to talk about it, you'll get the exclusive on it.
Yay!
But my my backstory is pretty rough.
Yeah.
But my whole drive and motivation is because I want to finish and I want to make sure I mattered.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole nother story behind that.
Yeah.
But I got to finish what I started. If I don't, it's not about anybody else.
Yeah.
It's all like self-worth.
Yeah.
And, like I said earlier, that when I'm quiet and everything quiets down, the demons come out.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of the demons, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they attack me, and it's just like, you ain't this and you ain't that. You could have done this, you could have done that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this a dozen times to people, man. It's like, I don't know what my life with music looks like because it's defined my entire life.
Yeah.
And to actually accept a life without it scares the shit out of me.
Oh yeah.
Because I've been driving so long, so hard to where it's like, okay, well, it's over. I can't accept that.
And I think there's a lot of people that feel that same way too. Cause
As you get older in town and you get wiser, man, you start thinking that way. And it's just like, shit, I don't want to play Broadway. Nothing wrong with Broadway. I got buddies of mine that play Broadway, but I moved here to be an artist and a songwriter.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with what they do, but for me, there's a level that I strive to hit, and if I can't hit the mark that I set for myself, then I failed.
Yeah.
It's not about what I've done, and I've done some really cool shit. I'm not gonna lie, but it's not about what I've done. But there is a mark that I'm trying to hit, and if I don't hit that mark, then it was all for nothing.
I hope you hit it.
In my eyes.
really
Everybody
hope.
else's eyes is like, well, man, you opened for Cody and you did this with Trace and you did this with Tracy and all this other stuff. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the end goal.
No.
That's just stepping stones.
Mm-hmm.
That's stepping stones that help me get to where I want to be.
Yeah.
And if I can't get to where I want to be, and a lot of people ask me, it's like, what is your end game? My end game is to be able to do what I love for a living, to make sure that my music touches as many people on this globe that it possibly can. And until I can do that, I'm not finished.
Yeah. I totally relate with that.
Yeah.
Because
Is it selfish? Absolutely. But it was selfish before anybody else came into my life. And it was a selfish aspect that I knew that I was going to have to deal with as an artist and as a creator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because I got asked what was my end game on this show.
You got what?
I got asked what was my end game on this show.
Okay. I thought you said you got ass whoopings on the inside of your show.
No, I ain't got an ass whooping yet. I just got to make sure not to piss you off. But anyway.
I'm the biggest damn teddy bear you'll ever
I know. So damn cute too.
Unless you rattle my cage, man, then we go to war.
But yeah, I mean, I've had people ask me what my end game was with this and why did I start it and all that other stuff. And I'm actually probably going to make a commercial and explain it all to everybody. That way everybody knows it. But I actually started this because I was bored, but I had a need to want to help other people.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Especially
creatives, man.
Yeah, and when I seen, my whole career as far as the music industry, that's all I seen was the sharks and people giving up and going home and how somebody with the ugliest damn shoes you ever seen in your life would tear somebody's world apart to where they just chucked their music in a suitcase and left,
Yeah.
I wanted to give them that outlet. I wanted to give them something to where they could be heard. Now I'm reaching over 70,000 people, and I'm tickled to death because that gives a bigger array for people to be heard. And the end game is very simple. I don't care if I make $1 million. I don't care if I make $100,000.
Back to our statement earlier, everybody puts too much emphasis on money.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do this for the money.
No,
money's
we don't.
great. It's a great reward, but we don't have to have it to continue to drive. I am living proof.
Oh yeah, but
And so are you.
again, the one thing that I want to be able to do, I won't be able to do this full time.
Yeah, I get it. I'm the same way with my music.
Yeah, and that's my
Or
end
acting.
game.
Either way, yeah.
I want to be able to get out of the truck, do the podcast full time, and meet great talented individuals, and get them out there and get them heard.
And you talk about doing it for, well, I do it for the country. See what I did there?
Yeah, I like that.
But anyway,
I heard that in a song somewhere.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
which was wrote at SB21 with my buddy Frankie Jean.
There you go.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I guess Johnny Depp probably put it the best. He knew that he was a musician early on.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he became an actor to where he could fuel his hobby to be a musician.
Yeah.
And that's why he started the Viper Room, and that's why he still got his rock band.
Yeah.
But his acting pay, which, God, he's probably worth $500 million at this point.
Oh, there ain't no telling.
It allows him to still fuel that fire.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing about us, the greats, to where it's like we never accept defeat, to where we have to be in that mindset and continue to do what we do.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I was talking about earlier, to where what does it look like without it? I can't picture a world without it.
Yeah.
It's because it's defined my entire life.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I took 6 months learning every damn thing I could out of podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And then I moved to the video.
What if there was one thing that I could do and be happy and walk away? If I could sell out the Ryman Auditorium downtown.
Just one time.
Just once.
Just once.
Because to sell out the Ryman,
Mm-hmm.
you've got to have all that preface built up to where everybody knows what you're doing. So
Yeah.
you pull everybody from downtown to do it. But, everybody's like, what about the Opry and the Opry debut? That'd be nice. But the Ryman's the mother church, man. That's where it all started. And if I can stand on that stage, I know the circle's out at the Grand Ole Opry, but they still got the hardwood at the Ryman.
Yeah.
And I've been in the Ryman and the Opry both once. And I went there when I first moved to town. The first 3 things I did was I went to the Ryman. I did the backstage tour because I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
I went to the Opry, did the same thing. I saw my buddy Tim Teague play for Jared Neiman while he was doing a show.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and found Johnny Cash's grave.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 things I did. And I told myself, I won't be back to any one of those 3 until I've reached the level of success that I want to reach in
Right.
this town. Granted, Johnny Cash has been a lonely man since.
Well, I actually used to know where he lived. Right there off the lake.
Oh, yeah, I go by there every once in a while. Because and it's weird, man, because when his house burned, because I think Barry Gibbs from the Bee Gees bought it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was doing some kind of construction in there, and there was side grinding. And
Yeah.
one of the embers hit, and nobody saw it, and it stayed lit, and it just burnt the whole house down. But when I first moved to town and I went and found his grave, this was not one of my 3 things to do, but I did it anyway because I researched it. I went by where his house was at, and the only thing left standing that you could see was 2 oak trees that had his face and June's face carved in the side of it.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that was left on the property.
Wow.
And I was sitting there looking at it, and I was like, you want to talk about, I'm getting chicken skin talking about it. You want to talk about the irony of it? Because it's almost like it hadn't been carved too long. And I mean, this was not 5-6 years after he died, because I think he died in 2005.
Yeah.
Something like that. And it was still like fresh enough to where, it still had the gray look on it.
Yeah.
But it was fresh enough to where when the sun hit it, you could see it. And I went out there on a sunny day. And I was like, it's ironic that the only thing that was left standing was those 2 oak trees right there beside the house.
Yeah, that's
It's crazy. But
It's amazing how some things just work out.
And how you was talking about how Madison was the it spot.
Mm-hmm.
What a lot of people don't realize, and for your viewers, Madison and Hendersonville used to be the it spot for the Stars. Conway Twitty City, Colonel Parker lived in Madison. Johnny lived in Madison, Marty Stewart, Rodney Crowell, all those guys. And then it got so flooded up here like it's happening in Franklin right now, so everybody moved to Franklin and Leapers Fork. But now it's like we're the town of the forgotten now, which, I mean, Garth, he still lives in Goodlettsville. He still lives the same place he always lived.
Actually, my friend...
Same property, different house, different location.
My friend owns his family owns the property next to Garth.
Yeah, and it's funny because you can ride down Dickerson Pike and look up and be like, I see you, Garth. And you look at it and you're like, he's doing that to where he can look down on the skyline of Nashville and be like, look at all my little minions. And Bob's the same way.
Yeah.
Bob Ritchie. He's got that White House up there off of Night Drive. And it's crazy because he's overlooking the same skyline. And I'm like, you talk about making a statement, buy a mountaintop in Tennessee.
I tell you what,
in Middle Tennessee.
Where I lived at on Jones Avenue, up at the very top where the caution light was, only thing you had to do was head north on Jones Avenue, and then the 2nd Street on the right. You could take that right, and it would take you up a higher hill. And you could sit on top of that hill and look at all of the Nashville skyline.
And the stars.
But that's where we used to go sledding every year.
Well, you know, the stars belong in the sky, right? That's what Buddy Holly said anyway.
Yeah. Well, it all depends if you fall down or not.
Yeah, right before he left. He said that right before he left the surf ballroom. I don't think I'm ever going to use that expression.
No, don't worry about it.
But yeah, it's crazy how much, you know, to go back to it, how much the town's changed and how much even the geography and how people move, you know, because the happening spot, like I said, used to be Madison, and now it's all Franklin South and Spring Hill. I mean, Aldine lives in Spring Hill, and I mean, you're still an hour and some change away from town.
There was a time the Broken Spoke down there was a big thing.
Well, Tim McGraw owned it for a little while.
Yeah.
Well, him and his band members or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's whenever I went in there. And I think Sammy Kershaw got found in there or something like that. Or
I don't know.
Because Randy Travis was at the Palace and he was a dishwasher and he got found. And he's like, digging up bones. That's what that's not really what got him found. It just sounded like a really cool intro.
Exhuming things that's better left alone.
But yeah, it's
I got that deep voice. I can't help it.
I truly, with all of its craziness, I love this town, man.
I love uncorking a bottle. That's funny.
It's been a muchas gracias. It's been a thought in my head since I was 13, 14 years old, man. Like, this is where I needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I got here and moved in and got situated, my soul has never been settled more than whenever I moved here.
Awesome. And
I knew at that point, I'm like, I'm home.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, some people, you know, they'll come along with, well, I'm moving to Nashville, I'm going to do this. I'm like, but if your soul don't feel it, you don't belong here.
Yeah.
Your soul's got to live here. And I can't think of life to where it's not tied to me some shape, form, or fashion.
Oh, yeah.
You know, even with me doing what I do, my buddy Cooper Lane, as he's coming up, he's a really great guitar player. He's an amazing musician, but he's also a great songwriter and he's a great singer.
Yeah.
So as I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm going to try to help develop him and see if we can't get something going for him, because he's just, there's, not because I know him. You know, you look for people who have the it factor. Mm-hmm. What I learned about him is he's not only got perfect pitch, he's a self-taught musician, and I can see the way he slings words in a writing session. But what's more than that is he's got something called color synesthesia, to where when he hears a note, he relates it with a color.
Right.
And he can walk up to any instrument and play what he hears, being self-taught. I mean, I look at him from time to time and like, you know what? I freaking hate you, man. I really hate you.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like some people just get it that easy. It's like a lot of us have to work for it.
Yeah. Well, it's like trying to learn acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
I never could play acoustic guitar. Never could. I could play bass a little bit, but it's just 4 strings.
Right. Well, I can't play bass, but I can play acoustic.
See, that's strange.
Yeah.
And then I picked up drums.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to learn the hardest damn drum lick ever. And
tell me it wasn't Rush.
No, it was 38 Special.
Hold On Loosely?
Chain Lightning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a hard lick there. So
yeah.
And I couldn't do it. So I just, I said to hell with all of it. But that's when I found my love for creating with the lights and the sound and getting everything just right on the production side.
Yeah.
And I've had that forever.
I mean, we all find where we're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Some shape, form, or fashion. I mean, you did lights and production, all that stuff for a while, but then you found your love for podcasting. But whereas it's not exactly the same, it kind of is.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's weird because 2 years ago, I was looking for something to do. Single, built my house. I'm in the house by myself. I was looking for something to do. I knew I didn't want to go back into the production side because I've lost my ass more than once. And 2 of my buddies, Eric Morrow and Thomas Marino, we were on the phone, you know how truck drivers are. We're 3-4 of us on the damn phone all the damn time. I was talking to them. Eric Morrow had done some voiceover stuff. Thomas Marino, he does indie movie stuff, producing and acting in them and stuff like that. And we were all talking, and they were like, well, have you thought about voiceover stuff? Have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that? And then, you know, they spoke up almost in unison and was like, you thought about podcasting? And the first words out of my mouth was, what the hell is that?
For the record, you'd be a great voiceover actor too, by the way.
No, I appreciate it. I could never play
live 1119999 only hurry fast while tickets last.
Oh yeah. It's what was that? Taylor Hughes told me one time, she said, why don't you go out there and introduce me? And I said, introduce you? And she said, yeah, I want it to sound like the fight stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean the fight stuff? And she's like, do the Ready to Rumble thing. And I'm like, dude, do you know how much that is probably copyright by now?
She wants you to be Michael Buffer.
Yeah, I guess.
Let's get ready to rumble.
And that's all you had to do, you know? I mean, it's just like, holy crap. And I'm just like, dude, I don't know.
That's insane, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the event of the season. Are you ready to rumble?
And it's funny that you do that, man, because I was waiting on it Friday night. I was downtown.
I wasn't downtown Friday night.
My buddy, he's a ringside announcer, and we did some work together on the If You Drink video. And he had called me. He's like, hey, I'm coming to town. I'm gonna be ringside. You want to come to the fights? I was like, sure, it'd be great.
Yeah.
So the PFL, which is a competitor to the UFC, it's called the Professional Fighters League. And we were out there, and I was watching the fights, and I was waiting on the announcer to do it, man. And they never did it. And I was like, well, it's got to be some kind of copyright infringement.
It's got a copyright on it.
Yeah, it has to. But it was some of the funnest. It was one of the funnest nights I ever had in my life, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the great thing I loved about it was the sportsmanship. They would sit there and beat the hell out of each other, and then it would get up and they would hug it out and be like, hey, man, great fight.
Yeah.
Hug each other, go up to the judge, hands get raised, they get done, they hug each other again. I'm like, you know, it's no different than doing a Brazilian jiu-jitsu match.
Yeah.
And winning. The only difference is you're throwing hands.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see because I mean, with me, you throw hands at me, we fixing to go.
See, I like it when it throws back to like the 1950s boxing and everything else because they were boxers.
Oh yeah,
but they were gentlemen.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love that.
And now everybody looks so pissed off during the promos because they're trying to promote the fight. Where it's like after the fight's over, everybody's all cool and in unison and they're friends or whatnot.
Yeah, and how much of a cut did you get? Oh yeah, well
And it blows my mind. But yeah, you're right. I mean, back in the day, Ali, Frazier,
fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Yep. Tyson and Larry Holmes, and then Tyson and Buster Douglas, and even with like Mayweather and Sugar Shane. I mean, I used to watch boxing all the time. I loved boxing. And it wasn't so much. I loved the sport of it, but what I loved more was to watch some of the behind the scenes footage, and I loved to see how hard they trained.
Yeah.
I used to, and I mean, I still train some, but I love the way their workout regimen is.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's gotten really, there's a lot of fluff involved in it now.
Oh yeah.
And that's the reason I don't watch it anymore. Like, I mean, Jake Paul, God love him. I mean, he is a freaking marketing mastermind.
Oh yeah.
But he can box too. But the thing is like nobody's going to give him any credit at all until he boxes somebody who's got nothing but 100% boxing under their belt instead of doing like, I don't know, what is it? Him boxing Conor McGregor or whoever. I don't think he boxed Conor McGregor, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, when I was growing up, it was all about.
But they're trying to cross
wrestling.
it over is what they're trying to do. Yeah.
My thing was wrestling.
WWF?
No, it was actually, they used to have wrestling at the fairgrounds in Nashville.
Like high school wrestling, or was it like?
No, it was like WWF wrestling.
Oh, you talking about wrestling?
Wrestling. It was wrestling.
It was wrestling.
With Jackie Fargo and, all the greats from way back in the day.
Yeah.
And
well, they used to set up shop here in Nashville, man, because I can remember listening to an interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he's like, "Man, I stayed at what was it, the Capitol or something off of Dickerson Pike, and I rode by there the other day and I saw it.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I almost took a picture of it and tagged him in it on Instagram, but." They used to sit up here and they would train here, and he was like, "Man, I can remember being in my my hotel room in Nashville, Tennessee, and all I had was 2 cans of tuna for the whole week."
Yeah.
Because we didn't make any money, and we was always training and just playing the farm league, and we was wrestling in the farm league in Nashville. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I get where you're coming from. It's weird how it came full circle, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I'll take it one step further, full circle. My dad, when he was 19 years old, actually was an understudy of Jackie Fargo.
Really?
Wrestling.
Wow.
But then he met my mom and got married, and surprise!
Here comes David.
Oh yeah. So
have you met David?
No. I'd like to meet him one day. I heard he's pretty cool.
But I watched wrestling. I'm sorry, I watched wrestling.
Wrestling.
Up until Stone Cold left.
Yeah.
Then after he left and The Rock left, the excitement died. There was not another like superstar performer. They're trying so hard to make Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes that right now, and it was always Stone Cold and The Rock, man. I mean, because they actually brought the WWE. Well, who was it? Generation X started it.
Yeah.
And then they catapulted it because they was going up against WCW and all this other stuff. But once The Rock and Stone Cold hit that beef with each other, it just catapulted into the stratosphere.
Oh, yeah.
And then after they just quit all that, I just quit watching it.
Yeah, my big thing was I think I quit watching it because I was like avid right there. Every damn time it was on, I was there. I kind of quit watching it after Undertaker.
He stuck around for a while though.
He stuck around for a while, but when the big hype over the Undertaker, and his brother Kane and all that went on. Actually, I think the last match I actually watched was Rage in a Cage, and Mankind was.
Is that when he hit the thumbtack?
Yeah, all the thumbtacks and all that stuff.
Dude, that was like what, 04, 05?
Yeah, somewhere right in there.
Yeah. I can remember watching reruns of Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, and
Snap into a Slim Jim. Yeah.
Ric Flair and the Horseman.
Yep.
That was so cool too, man.
Yep.
And he's always got a hard problem keeping his gators down.
Oh, yeah. Well, you had Dusty Rhodes. He lived over in Hendersonville.
Oh, yeah. Did he really?
Yes.
I had no idea.
I can take you right to the house.
Wow. But yeah, now, Cody, there was like, Cody needs to finish his story. While that might be true, the way they marketed it and did the promos on it was just, I think I would have talked to my marketing director a little bit harder about that.
Look, bud, you need to do something.
Hey, man, you need to spice this thing up because what you're talking about is cool. While it's cool, it sounds too textbook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
And I can't believe The Rock went for that. I mean, Dwayne Johnson went for that because, I mean, he's been in so many movies and he knows great parts. But especially because he's an owner now.
Yeah, but he got that taste of money.
Yeah, true. No, I'm saying they should have done it, but they should have marketed it and promoted it a different way.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it shouldn't have happened and been like, Cody Rhodes is avenging his father's legacy in the WWE or something like that or whatever it is. I don't know. And the fact when they changed it from the WWF to the WWE, I was like, it ain't the same. It's about like Dale Jr. going from driving the number 8 Bud car to going to 88 in the National Guard car. I was like, it ain't the same Junior, man.
No.
He went from the backwards hat to the straight-laced kid. I'm just like, no, this ain't working for me. And that's why I quit watching NASCAR.
I quit watching NASCAR a long time ago.
I quit after Junior quit running the 8 car.
Yeah.
That was the last time I watched it.
I think the last time I watched NASCAR, oh God, this goes way back in the day, was when, God, I can't even remember his damn name. He came on the scene and he was driving the newly designed Ford Thunderbird.
That sounded like a commercial. There's
a
voiceover work right there.
Yeah, there you go. And but it wasn't. God, who the hell was it? It
wasn't Richard Petty, was it?
No. He was brand new to the scene, and he was driving a Ford Thunderbird.
Benny Parsons,
and he whooped the shit out of a lot of people.
Kel Yarborough?
No.
I'm sure it wasn't Darrell Waltrip or Dale.
No, it wasn't Darrell or Dale. I could actually probably pick up the phone and call somebody and they tell me exactly who I'm talking about.
You got me befuzzled now.
It was before Jeff Gordon. It was somebody else. I can't remember his name. But he had that Ford Thunderbird and he come on the scene and the Ford Thunderbird was so aerodynamic.
Yeah.
They were just whooping the shit out of everybody. Same specs, same restrictions and everything else, but just the aerodynamic of the Ford Thunderbird. He's whooping the hell out of them.
I don't know who that was.
I can't remember. Blonde-headed boy. Skinny.
But yeah, man,
Country. Wasn't Jeff Gordon. It was somebody else.
Well, I mean, Junior was skinny and blonde-headed at one point.
Yeah.
When he decided he wanted frost tips.
I think he whooped. Let's see. NASCAR.
Skinny blonde-headed dude.
Driver. Ford.
Hey, Tommy, you getting this?
Thunderbird.
Yeah. Google it, Tommy.
That's the other part of this, man. You got to Google for me. Bill Elliott. That's his name.
Oh, Awesome Bill from Dawsonville.
Yeah.
Yep. Bill Elliott. Yep. I didn't know he drove a Thunderbird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Prior to the advent of restrictor plate racing, Bill Elliott's Ford Thunderbird with engines built by his brother Ernie hit speeds that no other NASCAR Cup Series car could touch at any super speedway.
So that's why he got his claim to fame, was because of the Thunderbird.
The Thunderbird.
And it's Coors car too, so I just need to say Banquet on the back of it. You need to be John Dutton or Rip to pull off a Coors Banquet.
There you go.
Yeah. Or just be a cowboy like that.
Just to be a cowboy.
But yeah, man, it's I miss the old days of NASCAR. I do.
I miss the old days when it was actually the wide runners.
My cousin used to tell me, because he was an old gearhead, man, before he died. He told me, he's like, man, if you can't build it, you shouldn't be able to race it. Mm-hmm. And I agree with that. Yeah. But then I got into some of the new age NASCAR, you know, like with Dale Jr. and Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick and all those guys coming up. And I watched it for a little while, but the thing that turned me off, it was the same year that Junior went to the 88 car instead of the 8. Yeah. They introduced this whole damn future car. I was like, nah, I'm done, man. I'm not doing it. Yeah. And then you couldn't bump anymore and you couldn't rub. And I was like,
that ain't racing.
Rubbing's racing. I know it's been said 100 million times, but it's the truth, man. And now, I mean, you'll get black flagged in a heartbeat now for going up on somebody's bumper.
Well, it used to be like even the racing out here at the fairgrounds. It used to be race what you brought.
And they're bringing it back now. Not racing what you brought, but they're bringing back NASCAR. Yeah. Which is cool. It should have never left anyway.
Well, no, it shouldn't have. But, I mean.
I rode out in Lebanon, man, for 4 or 5 years looking at that racetrack. And I'm like, if they're not going to use it for a damn NASCAR event, it would be a hell of a music venue.
Oh, yeah. But they won't do it.
But they won't do it.
There's no way. I believe, I think NASCAR said that they would not go back to that Lebanon area because of how the banking was done and the asphalt on the track itself was not to their quality standards.
God forbid you set up a car that you have to race. Yeah. Oh my God. But
they don't.
You talk about the track downtown. I guess is it called the Big Machine track now, right there by Geodis Field, Geodis Park?
I have no clue.
So before, you know, Fanfare used to be out there.
Fanfare actually started at Municipal Auditorium.
I did not know that, but I know it went out to the fairgrounds. But what happened was back in 2014, 2015, I was working as an intern with this company, and I will not show them any love whatsoever.
Good. Anyway, go ahead.
And the head promoter was like, I want to start this event out here at the fairgrounds and bring Fanfare back to the fairgrounds, but I want to do legends and icon acts. Right. Junior had just Junior just had finished driving the 8 and turned to the 88. No. That's not where we were at. We were talking about downtown. Yeah. So anyway, I won't give those guys any credit whatsoever who I interned with. So he came to me in 2014, 2015 and said, hey, I want to bring Fanfare back to the fairgrounds. Right. Like, okay, cool. He's like, and I want to give you 10% of it. I was like, as an intern? He's like, yeah, man, you're one of my team. Let's do it. I was like, sure, let's do it. Yeah. So I called a buddy of mine who owns a production company, got all the sound, all the lights, sound guy, all this other stuff. Still use him to this day. He's one of my closest friends. And I made some phone calls. I got some B-list artists on it. Yeah. I won't go through it because I don't want them to remember anything about it, nor do I want them to know that I was affiliated with it. But this fella that was over it, you know, he was getting money left and right to put this event on. Yeah. And I believed in the event. And we are 8 weeks from launch. And, you know, he wanted to do it the same week as CMA Fest. And I was like,
you are screwed in the head.
It's kind of dangerous, but at the same time, it's a different venue in town to where if you advertise and market properly, I mean, it was a Ferrari with a kid in the driver's seat. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. So we're sitting there running low, trying to get deposits and all that stuff made. And I made a phone call to a friend of mine who's very, very wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
Told him the idea, pitched him the idea, sent him a spreadsheet. He's like, yeah, dude, I want to come down and see the venue. So he came down, he saw the venue, loved the idea of it. He's like, yeah, man, let me go back and talk to the wife and see what we can do.
Yeah.
So he goes back home, talks to the wife, and he calls me and he's like, Chris, I can give you $200,000 tomorrow. I can stroke you a check right now to make this event go off. But I know I'm going to lose the first year, but I believe in what you're doing and we can build it.
Right.
It's like, great. He's like, I got one stipulation. I said, what? He's like, I want 51%.
Ouch.
Wait a minute. I said, 51%. I was like, so the guy where we brought the idea to the table, he gets 49. He said, yeah, but with that being said, in 3 years, if it does what I think it can do, with his portion, he can buy back controlling interest. I don't have a problem with that. I just want to make sure that I get a seat at the board table to make sure that I'm involved with the decision making.
Right.
I was like, it's fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, he got 200 grand in it. And I was like, yeah. So I went back to my guy and I said, hey man, I can have you 200 grand tomorrow to finish deposits up. We can buy billboards. We can do all this stuff to market and advertise for it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, but you got to give up controlling interest for 3 years and he'll give it back to you. If you want it back, he'll give you the money back.
Yeah.
And I know the guy personally, and he would have done that. I know him personally. He's a good dude. He's solid as shit.
Yeah.
And he's got, like I said, he's very, very wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
200 grand to him is like 2,000 to me and you.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so
might be
200.
Yeah.
Let's just say 200 bucks. But I went back to my guy and he's like, not giving controlling interest up to my company. It's like, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
He said, yeah, I'm not doing it. I said, okay. I thought about it. Next day I called him. I was like, dude, you own your own, I'm out. He said, what? It's like, yeah, I'm out. It's like, I brought you the helicopter that God provided for you and you didn't have enough sense to climb on it.
Yeah.
I can't do anything better than that. So I sent out emails to all my contacts and said, hey, due to unfortunate circumstances, I'm separating myself from said event.
Mm-hmm.
If you continue on, God bless you. Wish you all the luck in the world, but just know that I'm not affiliated with it anymore.
Right.
And he went on with it. You know how many people showed up to a 45,000 seat venue?
5.
10.
God.
He had Channel 4 local news out there during CMA Fest broadcasting. And I'll never forget, Holly Thompson looked at it and said, oh my God, it's called country. Oh, it's called such and such.
Yeah.
I think I see a fan right there. And there was 10 people there.
Wow.
That was it. 10 people. I think he sold 25 tickets.
Yeah. And half of them.
And I had a whole marketing and advertising plan to where I'm like, hey, I'm going to Lamar Advertising. I'm going to the local Hilton honors rep, and we're going to be on every TV inside of the Hilton inside the Hilton hotels.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever they come in and see the whole screen and all that stuff,
Yeah.
had it all laid out, and that's how I sold my individual on said event, and that's what sold it.
Yeah.
And there was no marketing or advertising. I think he advertised on a billboard for like 2 days, and that was it, and nobody showed up for it.
You can't expect 2 days to turn around that many.
6 weeks, man, if we had that capital to push the event,
Yeah.
would it have been profitable? Probably not. But I think it would have been big enough to where it's like, okay, my said person could have went to some of his buddies who are just as wealthy as he is to come in for the next year and be like, hey, we did this here. And that's the way this business works. It's like, if you prove it, it's like a pilot for a TV show.
Yeah.
If you prove it out, it's like, okay, I see it. Then you bring in this guy, but that didn't happen. You know what he did? There's this festival down in Panama City Beach called Gulf Coast Jam.
Yeah.
He invested $3 million into that program, and it's still going. Mm-hmm. And it started off at like being a $2 million venture, and I think it's worth like $150 million now.
Wow.
Because he brought his people in. He already was with people who were notarized in it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but the sad thing about it is, like, for me, doing some of the stuff that I do, I probably could, but I won't. But I will never take him another business opportunity because of that particular situation.
Yeah, I don't blame you with that.
And that's like in this town, man. You get one shot, and that's all you get. So whenever that shot fails, you can't go back asking for more.
Yeah.
So, but he's still a great friend of mine, man. He's retired. He built his money up in the software industry. That's where you got to start at.
Yeah.
And to look at him walking down the street, you'd never know who he was because he's just that humble. He's a huge vet supporter. Me
and you.
He is a great fucking guy.
Yeah.
But I would never, ever take him anything else because of that.
Yeah. And I don't blame you. I really don't. You know, it's crazy some of the stuff that goes on, but
hey, it is what it is, man.
It is.
We live and we learn.
So we went from an Eminem song to a Janis Joplin. No, not Janis Joplin. Who was that? What the hell was her name? You live, you learn. I can't remember.
Is that Alanis Morissette?
Alanis Morissette. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
I got so many songs in my head. It's
Have you heard Eminem's new song?
no, I haven't. Don't you spoil it to me.
I'm not. It's killer. It's called Houdini. It's freaking amazing. It's like, where in the hell has that guy been?
Yeah.
Like, he disappeared. Like, literally, when he's trying to kill off Slim Shady, he brought him back, man. And it's just like, it's that fucking good. It's really good. And I know I'm a country artist, man, but I just love good music. I got anything in my playlist from Eminem to Biggie to Led Zeppelin to Five Finger Death Punch to No Medicine to, I just love great music. Mm. But yeah, he freaking killed it on this last record.
Yeah, I plan on getting, because probably this Friday when I get paid, I'm probably going to get his. I definitely got to get all your new stuff.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I know.
Grab that For the Country record. Grab the For the Country record where you can download it on iTunes or you can stream it on Spotify.
Way to kick right in there, Sparky.
ChristianMusic.com and go to Instagram and Twitter and tweet till your fingers bleed.
Got to. Oh, Lord.
Dude, this has been great.
Dude,
thank you so much for having me. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, brother.
Can't wait to do it again. I just had it took 2 years to get back up here. But dude, you know my schedule and you know I'm busy. But I'm never too busy for friends, man.
You know, but I mean, honestly, you was up here on the show right when I was starting everything off. You helped out, especially when I was last year at Nashbox. Your sneaky little Clayton Q thing that you did.
Yeah.
I ain't forgot that. And
that's what I do, man. I take care of my people.
And
and Clayton Q's a great dude, man. He's solid.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I made you as a friend. Clayton's now a friend. Mm-hmm. We talk every now and then. I mean, it's just
Big Vinny. Big
Vinny. Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's crazy, all the stuff, you know, and I like having good friends. I like getting people on the show. I like having fun. And
again, I mean, the town being cliquish, you know, it's like my circle becomes your circle or your circle becomes my circle. And we try to tackle the world with it.
Oh yeah.
That's all we can do.
And try to have fun.
Exactly. That's all it's about.
That hits the spot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Too easy. I got nothing.
Maybe I got something. You want to write a song when we're sitting here?
Yeah.
Babe, I got you, babe.
Wow, what a song.
I know, right?
It's just funny to sit there and look out through the town. And I actually wrote a song with Dan Reif Snyder and Sarah Spencer called Ghost. Mm-hmm. And the hook to the song is like, now the ghosts live on 16th Avenue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really cool song. Like, it's not the Nashville I know anymore. And yeah.
Yeah. I know all about it.
Yeah, I know you do. I mean, hell, you grew up here.
I grew up in this hellhole.
Yep. I wish I could have been here like at the turn of the century, because I know it was a different world then. I don't think it really started somewhat changing to like 04, 05, but it really started booming and changing like in 2012. And I moved here in 2010. So to watch the Nashville that I know, even though I got 2 years of it, to turn into what it's turned into, it's just like, oh my God, what are y'all doing?
Well, you got to remember, I grew up in that area where a bunch of businesses on Broadway was just boarded up. There was winos everywhere. There was
on Broadway. Oh yeah, man. I heard that was like the biggest like
vagrants.
red light district, man.
Yeah.
Where it was just like needles and prostitutes.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Yeah.
You know, and they set out on a journey to clean it up.
And that's great about Broadway, but I sit there and think about how they've just completely destroyed Music Row. I mean, that's where it all happened.
There used to be a venue on Music Row, and it was called the Music Row Showcase.
Really? It wasn't at Bobby's Idle Hour, was it?
No.
They tried to tear it down, but people got involved in it. I was at a show out there about a month ago.
Yeah. But
that's one of the last authentic places on Music Row, just like Robert's Western World is the only last authentic version of Nashville left in Nashville.
Well, Music Row Showcase had the longest bar in Nashville.
Really?
And you could go in there anytime and you would see Hank Williams Jr. hanging out, a bunch of the old legends hanging out, just listening to new music. Because that's why they called it Music Row Showcase. All the record companies down through there would showcase their people through there. And they had heavy metal night. They had all kinds of different things. I actually ran lights over there when I was younger for about 8 months. I ran lights for Tony Joe White at the Music Row Showcase.
Oh, wow.
Back before he died. I think it was one of the last tours he had. Actually, I think it was his last tour that he did. And it's just something to hear, you know, that guy on that stage singing Polk Salad Annie.
And it's just like, I think, I mean, there's a lot of memorable voices that ever graced a microphone in Nashville, but two of my favorites are probably Andy Griggs being one of them and Conway Twitty being the other one.
Yep.
I mean, Johnny Cash was great. I mean, they're all great, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But there's something defining about those two. I mean, John Conley, he's another one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. It's rose-colored glasses. Every time I hear it in that first note, I'm like, I won't finish that thought, but...
And, well, I mean, one of the writers that I really liked back in the day was Bobby Braddock.
Yeah. He wrote so many hits. I mean, he's still around.
Dane
Dillon, man.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Dane Dillon just cranked out so many number ones for George Strait. It's insane. I mean, what was it? Keith Whitley cut. I'm trying to remember what song it was. Oceanfront Property. Was it Oceanfront Property?
Might have been. I don't remember.
Or
that was in my heavy metal days and out in the woods Hank Williams Jr. days.
What? Back to California quakes. No, that's Miami. There was a Strait song that Keith cut before Strait got it, and then Keith cut it, and then Strait got it, and when Strait got it, it went to number one.
Yeah.
And shit, I can't. I think it was. I don't know if it was Oceanfront Property or not, but it was one of those early George Strait number ones. Either way, neither here nor there. But just the fact that Dane Dillon was doing that, and I mean, the town starts with the song, man.
Yeah.
And we had this discussion earlier about a friend of mine whose dad wrote one of the most iconic songs in the world called Seven Bridges Road, and outside of that, he was telling me about how he used to get babysat by Graham Parsons and Emmylou Harris and Townes Van Zandt because his dad grew up in that, and he was a young kid. And it's like I said, it all comes full circle.
Yeah. Well, see, I always found it interesting, the connection between Townes Van Zandt and Oh, God, I can't believe I forgot his name.
Guy Clark?
No, Copperhead Road.
Oh, Steve Earle.
Steve Earle. Yeah. I couldn't believe the connection between Steve Earle and Townes Van Zandt. You know, and then what's weird is when Steve Earle first came out with Copperhead Road, he got the band together and he went out on the road. And me and the first wife went and seen Steve Earle, and he was on the same bill as Bob Dylan.
Oh, wow.
Bob Dylan's one of the best, you know, 60s songwriters ever, you know, and my wife at the time was a big Bob Dylan fan.
And I love Copperhead Road, man. And
Well,
I still play it in my set, but you want me to tell you my favorite Steve Earle song?
What?
Guitar Town.
Yeah, I like Guitar Town too.
That is my favorite Earl song ever, and I because I get it, I relate to it.
Yeah. But what really fascinated me the most was Steve Earle come on stage, and it was out at Starwood Amphitheater.
Never saw it, but I heard a lot of stories about it.
Yeah, it was a beautiful place. But anyway, I've been there many a time.
Now they got First Bank Amphitheater down in
Yeah. Doesn't hold a candle. But Steve Earle came on. He did his full set. Bob Dylan come on. And even my wife at the time was an avid Bob Dylan fanatic. It was Bob Dylan this, Bob Dylan that. Halfway through his first 6 songs, I think he did like a 12 or 14 song set. But in the middle of the 6th song, she said, let's go.
Oh, wow. Why?
Because Steve Earle blew Bob Dylan away.
I can see that. Because Dylan's got this whole, while he is like a prolific songwriter
Yeah.
and deliverer of music, he's got the same style throughout everything. It's like, Mom don't take bags from me.
Oh, yeah.
And it's that tone and that delivery the whole way through it. Not taking anything away from him. He's a freaking genius.
Yeah.
But if you have that same monotone throughout a 2-hour set, it's just like, okay, every song sounds the same.
Yeah, I'm going to go blow my ears out now.
But to wrap this up, with that being said, that's what's country music right now, and that's what's going wrong with the damn business.
Yeah, it really is.
All sounds the same.
I can't stand it when it sounds the same.
No.
That's why I like your cowboy song so much.
That's right.
It's different.
I keep everything, I try to keep everything 100, man.
I know.
What I do. I write what I want to write, and I record what I want to record. That's the great thing about being an independent.
Yeah, that's why I love you.
Yeah.
All right, tell everybody where they can find you. We got to get off
Find me
here.
at ChrisTurnerMusic.com. Go to Instagram. Instagram.com is Chris Turner Music. Go to Twitter at Chris.Turner96. Facebook, Apple Music, Spotify. You can find me anywhere. Appreciate you guys listening, and we will see you next trip. Peace.
And make sure you get the new album and the new song.
For the country.
For the country. Trust me, you're going to love it. I think it's some of the best stuff that you've turned out in a long, long time.
Oh, it is. I would not dispute that.
No, it really is.
And I've done some really great, and it's not just the songwriting or the songs, man. It's got a lot to do with the production too.
Yeah, I know. I love it. All right, Chris, appreciate you. And everybody, please like, share, follow, subscribe. It's only that far from the play button. You just move it over on YouTube and click. Doesn't cost you a thing. It's totally free. Go to my links. Go to my website. Merch is on there. Chris has got merch, and y'all check out his new merch. His new merch is pretty daggum awesome. I love it. I've got the new logo on my merch, so y'all check that out. And you can find all my stuff at www.thedavidbradleyshow.com. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Love you. See ya. Mean it. Bye.
Deuces.
Boom.
Dude, that was fun as shit. Yes.